right, we'll just turn that off instead of like trying to fade it out and be all fancy, because we all know last time it was sounded like static. So we're not doing that this time. Hello, everybody. Oh my gosh, I just tabbed back in community meeting chat. You all are raging way too hard for Saturday. I'm sorry, no. I'm not about this. This is too much. Anyways, hello everybody. Welcome to our next community meeting. Y'all stop raging, Janset. Yeah, oh, shut up, Galaxy. Glad to see you guys all here. Today we have a laundry list of things we'd like to talk to you guys about. We're gonna have a couple of things that I'm gonna go through with T's helping me out, and then Riggsy has a list of his own stuff. As per usual, we'll do a Q&A at the end. If you guys have not already filled out a form with the community meeting Google form, that is up and live and has been for a couple of weeks now, so please feel free. If you guys want to get them in now, go for it. Otherwise, you obviously have the community meeting question channel. Obviously, if it's in the community meeting question channel, we're going to see your name and everything, and if you would like it to be anonymous, please use the form. Otherwise, that community meeting channel will be there. That being said, I want to start off with our usual, which is you guys are amazing. Seriously. We have been, especially as of late, like in the last, I'd say, week or so, we have seen some phenomenal RP coming out of the server, which just makes all of our hearts so happy. We've been seeing some great conflict coming out of some different groups. We've been seeing some amazing RP happening between Crims and Cops, which is just so cool to see as part of LEO Command, seeing the efforts that we're trying to instill in our Cops actually working and doing well, and the Cops are having fun and the Crims are having fun. It's been really encouraging across the board there. We're seeing new players join the server almost daily. We've got apps coming in almost daily. We've gotten our player numbers are going up. Like on a Tuesday, we had almost 40-something people, which I know for some of people who come from larger communities, that seems small, but to us, that's a really big number, and we're really excited to see that. So just seriously, keep up the great work. A huge round of applause to all of you guys. Keep up the great RP. Keep being the awesome inspiration to new players that we all know you guys are. Please keep on being welcoming to new players. All of you guys, just seriously, you guys are amazing. Yeah, exactly right, Melon. It was really, really cool to see. So please keep that up. Please, and keep enjoying the server, and just keeping that positive attitude. Okay, so as you guys know, we go through these, and this is not a chance for staff to bark at people. This is not a chance for us to go bad people. No, this is us to bring general community-wide reminders to everybody of things that we see on the server or around the community that we want people to be mindful of. So we bring it into this forum so we can talk to you guys as an entirety. Tell you guys, hey, these are some things we've seen we'd like you guys to work on, encourage you guys in some other areas, and then obviously we have our Q&A at the end. So we'll just kind of dive right in. I know that one of the big things that is kind of an ebb and flow on most GTA servers is crime, and either the lack thereof or just a lot of it. So one thing is when it comes to crime is a lot of people one thing we've noticed is that people are not doing crime because it's, quote, not worth it. And mind you, from a development standpoint, our entire team is monitoring pretty much anything that makes money on the server or pays out an item on the server. We are monitoring it. We are trying to see, hey, does this feel like it's enough? Is this too much? Do we need to make adjustments up or down in this area? But we can't do that unless we're getting constant data. So if we have one person go and do something, feels like it's not worth it for one reason or another, and then just starts telling everybody, oh, hey, this isn't worth it, don't go do it, nobody does it, it makes it a lot harder for us to gauge why it's not being done. Is it not being done because it's too hard? Is it not being done because it's not a good payout? Is it not being done for, like what are the reasons for it? If you guys notice a problem, please bring it to us. Tell us in either help chat through like a, hey, is this supposed to be this way? Bring it up in a ticket. Put in a bug report. We have multiple avenues of approach for bringing that information to staff so that we can try to make those adjustments so that we can fix the problem so that it does become worth it. Because at the end of the day, the more crime that's on the server, the more the cops have, the more action cops have, which spreads cops out, which basically it's this weird sort of catch-22. If there's more crime on the server, it forces cops to spread out and respond to more crimes, which then doesn't swarm small crimes, which allows more crime to happen, and criminals feel more empowered to do more crime, and it basically creates this cycle of additional RP just flowing around the server. Whereas if you just stop doing crime at all, those few little pop-up crimes that happen get swarmed by cops, which obviously we're going to get to that in here in a minute, and then that creates a different problem. So basically that boils down to go do crime. Always go do more crime. If there's issues with the crime, please bring it to us so we can make adjustments. But we want to see crime happening all the time on the server so that it gives a lot of motion around the server and pushes people around. So just be mindful of that as you guys are going out and doing the nasty criminal things. Along with that is obviously in 2.0 we instituted a lot of different crime mechanics, and some of those crime mechanics are multifaceted. They require different pieces and parts to be successful. So whether that's drug-related crimes where there's you have to actually like manufacture it, or you're talking about like Chop Shop where you have multiple pieces there with different things that are required. Internalizing into one group doing everything, or even smaller into like one or two people to just do all of the things inside of a criminal enterprise is kind of is a negative approach to those criminal enterprises. Those are designed to not just have more steps involved, but to actually include more people in the RP associated. So, for example, I'm going to use a drug as an example. If you have a drug, I'm not going to state a specific one for meta purposes, but let's say you have a drug A, and drug A requires all these ingredients and then this manufacture process and then a distribution process and then a selling process. Every single step in that line should theoretically involve more people in the RP. It's not designed so that, one person can go do all the steps and then sell it. It's designed to be, okay, this group's going to do this part, this person's going to do this part, these few people are going to do this part, and then these people are going to go sell it. It's designed to encourage and spread RP. So internalizing into a singular group or gang or even just one or two people is dangerous to not only the community health, but also that mechanic as a whole. So please be mindful of trying to include other people into your criminal enterprises, especially if it's mechanic related, like mechanic as far as like game mechanics, as it will help spread more RP, include more people in the RP, spread out meta and all sorts of things. It'll be very beneficial to the server as a whole if we're not internalizing all of our criminal mechanics into one group or person. Tease, I saw you unmute. Yep.
Yeah, sorry.
No, go for it.
Even things as simple as going out and doing an ATM robbery. If you end up having the tools needed, but you know that you're bad at the game that you have to play to do it, talk to people, reach out to them. You can always, hey, I'm not good at this, let me just sell it off. Or, hey, I'm a great driver and I know that's that's where I'm good at, but I know other person who my character trusts and knows is actually good at doing the ATM hacking. Let me rope them in. Store robberies, things like that. Even the smaller crimes, it's very unlikely that your character is going to be good at everything. So, it's okay to rope other people in, share in the crime, split the payouts, things like that.
And I would almost encourage people that don't try to be good at everything. Yes, this is a video game and we're all video gamers, and obviously the video game mentality comes out of, I got to do all the things and I want to touch all the stuff. But at the end of the day, real life, you might be a really good driver, but you might suck at, hand any like small things that you have to do with your hands, right? So you would include you look for people, you look for experts in those fields to help you. Like obviously you're not going to try and go do everything in your life. You also have things you're not good at. You hire people for. Same thing applies into RP. In fact, we almost encourage it in RP because there's always ways to make money. There's always ways to include people. Thank you, Riggsy, for making me feel awkward for losing my words. Appreciate it. There's ways to include people into those avenues in those RP through money, through trades, through organizations, through whatever. So please be mindful of that and try to include people in those avenues when you can. As I said before, if there's no crime, cop swarms. Obviously, speaking as LEO command, we are working very, very hard, and Smooth here can attest, 60 here can attest that we are working very hard to be on top of our cops, and not like an oppressive way, but like a corrective way of like, hey, please don't do these things, do these things, be mindful of the way you behave here. We had an LEO meeting very recently where we brought up some very good topics that people had brought to us from the criminal side of things, and honestly, I will state we have seen a huge improvement in our LEO as an entirety since that meeting. A lot of the issues that people were bringing to staff about, or even to LEO command about cops here and there, have been like almost gone. Like almost all the issues we were seeing before are pretty much gone. You guys, as speaking to our cops, you guys are killing it. You guys are doing so good. Please keep it up. Obviously the stuff we discussed in that meeting, the things that get brought up in our LEO announcements and whatnot, you guys are taking that to heart. You guys are being mindful of your fellow RPers, and it's been really cool to see. So that being said, if there's less crime, the LEOs want their RP too, right? If you guys want your cops on the server, because basically we all know if the more cops on the server, the more crime can happen because things open up with LEO presence, right? So if you want cops on the server, invite them to the server. Make sure they feel welcome on the server. What I mean by that is obviously don't be all nice and everything in game. If you're a criminal and you're going to be mean to a cop, be mean to a cop. But what I mean by that is if cops have nothing to do, they're going to get bored and they're going to log. That's just the way it is. I mean, who wants to just drive in a circle all day long at 35, 45 miles an hour with no calls? Obviously, they want things to do. So as a criminal, the more crime that we can go out and do, the more invites we're giving to our cops to actually do things. That being said, if there's less crime, cops will swarm. We are working on that, but it's going to happen occasionally. So go do more crime. The more crime that can happen, the more crime that's on the server, the more spread out our cops are, and the less chance you're going to have of that happening. So it's kind of a two-way street. So be mindful of that. I know that there's been actually I see a thing there in Tease. If you want to direct them over to the community meeting questions, that's something we can bring up at the end of the discussion for sure. But as far as vehicles, I know that there are there's always been frustration or confusion around vehicles and their handling and the state of them. I will state that the vast majority of reports we're getting about vehicle handling right now, both criminal, civilian, and LEO, is that they are in a very good spot. Obviously, we have we have a couple people who have spoken to us in various capacities with concerns here and there. And we are obviously always looking to address where we can, and we're always monitoring vehicles. They're almost always going to be adjusted, and Riggsy's going to speak more on that later. But as a sweeping whole, right now, our vehicles are in a very good state. Criminals have a very good chance of getting away in almost every car they get in if they're a decent driver. Cops have the ability to keep up with almost any car they need to with the new pursuit modes that have been instituted. So because of those changes, pursuit modes and then vehicle classes being more strictly adhered to, and with the new indicators that are now available to police so they can actually visually see what a car is instead of having to just guess, is made a huge difference. People are actually able to have legit fun chases. I've been on a cop and a crim lately, and both running from the cops and chasing somebody was so much fun. Like just whether or not I got caught, whether or not we caught him, it was a great chase. It was so much fun. So I really enjoyed it. I know that I've been hearing the same thing from other people. So please be mindful that vehicles are in a good state, and we are monitoring them to continue to make sure they continue to be in a good state. This kind of ties back to what I mentioned earlier about crime and being not worth it. Is please do not take what you hear in character from one or two people as gospel. On pretty much anything. Try things for yourself. So what I mean by that is if you talk to somebody in game and they go, oh, don't go do garbage, it's not worth it. Go try it yourself first. Go try garbage, see if it's not worth it. Maybe there's a difference of opinion there. Maybe it's a difference in how we do things. It's absolutely okay to go try something for yourself. So the same thing goes for criminal mechanics. Instead, before you just write off an entire criminal avenue of RP, go try it. If it doesn't pan out or you notice genuine issues, please bring it to staff. We will look at it and see if we can make adjustments or if there's something that we can do. But overall, try things for yourself before just taking somebody's word as gospel truth and moving on. Okay, so next is yes. Obviously, we all know conflict's going to happen. That's RP. We want conflict. Conflict is good. Conflict breeds roleplay. We want that. However, please be mindful whether you're a cop speaking to a crim, a civilian to a gang member, a gangster to a cop, whatever. Punish the player or the person responsible. I'm not the player. I'm sorry. The person, the character, the officer responsible for wronging you or whatever, not an entire group. So what I mean by that is instead of a gangbanger or a gangster like Gizmo, I'm gonna use my character as an example. Instead of Gizmo hating all the cops and treating all the cops exactly the same, having a specific beef with one or two officers that he had specific run-ins is the better way to do it. Because obviously criminals are going to have an inherent distrust of the cops overall. But there needs to be some distinction there between I'm going to, again, use my criminal as an example, speaking from personal experience. Gizmo has a closer relationship with Watts and Lennox than he does with Ryder, DeFalco, and a few others. He has a higher level of beef, I guess you could say, with these other officers because of constant interactions he's had where they've been negative. So use that to your advantage. Use that for RP story hooks, right? Because maybe if your criminal starts to develop these little tiny relationships with other people or these other cops, again, using this as an example, it starts to create that story arc. It starts to create that dynamic story that happens between you and the officers, as opposed to just, oh, I hate all officers, they're all the same, I'm looping them all into the same bucket, fuck all you guys, I'm never going to talk to any of you. And it just kind of it makes things feel a little awkward, because like if I'm a brand new cop on the server and I've only been on for 3 days and I interact with somebody, go, oh, fuck you, you're a cop. And it's like, yeah, but we've never interacted, you know nothing about me, we've never once met. Granted, there isn't, like I said, there's a level there where criminals are going to have a certain distrust of cops if that's part of their backstory or part of their RP, but it's more fuck this cop in particular, or, oh, fuck the cops because of this guy. And then if you target it that way, it's on the agency of that player to be like, well, I'm different, and then have them show that, but then you being receptive to actually letting that RP play out, if that makes sense. Obviously, no one's going to tell you how to RP, like, specifically, but it can be very jarring, whether you're a criminal or a cop, or a civilian or a crim, to be in one of those situations where you're being essentially put into a filter automatically with no chance of it changing because of RP you were never involved in, if that makes sense. Like, it's very unfair. It feels very like, well, how does this story proceed if I'm already being classed X and I wasn't even there? So just try to be mindful of that when you're playing your crim or your officer towards a crim. It's the same. This is a two-way street. So just keep that in mind. Moving to the next thing, scaling your tactics to the severity of your crime. So what I mean by that is, if you are running as a criminal from, say, an ATM robbery, it's a low-level crime, has a small fine associated, small time, not violent, very, very minor, right? Very little crime. Or even, let's say, even smaller than that. Let's say like a mailbox robbery, right? Like something very small. Obviously, it's a petty crime, or it's a low-level crime. It is not going to massively impact your character's wallet, their time off the server, or anything like that. It's a very small thing, right? It's an activity to do, and something to give the cops something to do for a bit as well. In those instances, try to be mindful of how heavy you're going with your getaway or your tactics to get away compared to something a lot heavier. So like if you're trying to get away from one of those small crimes, obviously you're going to run. And then when you get caught, it's over. It's done. Whereas if you're running from something like you just offed somebody out in the oil fields, clearly you're going to scale those tactics for getting away up a little bit, because you really need to get away. You start to be a little more aggressive with your getaway driving. You start to you pull guns on the cops, whatever. Just basically being mindful of scaling those activity, or those actions for the getaway, or those actions for the desire to get away, based on the severity of what you actually did. Because it feels very weird as a cop. It's like, oh, I'm chasing somebody because they robbed a mailbox, and all of a sudden they're shooting at me with an automatic weapon and trying to steal the cop car, and now it's turned into the standoff in the back of a warehouse. And you're like, huh? Like, this all stemmed from a very small crime that I almost could have just written off, like with a citation. Like, it's okay sometimes as criminals to take the very tiny little L and then try to really strive for that W later when you have a bigger crime that you got to get away from. Because if you do not get away from this crime, you're going to go away for a long time, right? Like be mindful of the severity of the crime to what you're actually doing, so that it makes sense, so that everybody involved understands what's happening. Because it can be very jarring as an officer to try and deal with that. So, just be mindful of that. And the same thing goes for cops. Be very mindful of how aggressive you're going with. If somebody running from a mailbox robbery, you don't need to get out spike strips, probably. You probably don't need to start pitting. You definitely don't need to start ramming. And you definitely don't need to pull out class 3s and whatnot. So it's a two-way street. Cops need to be mindful of their response to criminal actions, and criminals need to be mindful of their actions towards cops in a getaway. And yes, ramming is not okay. We've had this many times. We've discussed this many times with our LEOs. Ramming is always, always, always being discussed. Please, and this is something I'm going to mention here in a little bit as well, is desync happens. Be mindful of that. And ramming, just because you think you got rammed does not mean it was an intentional ram. Dash will be the first one to talk about this, because it happened to me the other day and we were laughing about it. We were in a getaway and I came out of a drive-through, and I went a different way than she anticipated, and she plowed into the side of me and completely took out our car. It happens. The mistakes are going to happen. Desync's going to happen. It's okay to be like, oh, well, it happened. Please don't just jump to assume cops are trying to fuck you because they happen to hit your car. It's going to happen sometimes. Please be mindful of that. Okay. Next. Okay, this actually was brought up a little bit ago, so it's a good time to reach out. Yes, exactly, Dash. Reaching out is a great way to do it. I was laughing about it. I thought it was great. So I was very happy that Dash reached out, because she felt bad, and I was like, no, you don't need to feel bad. It was funny. I was laughing about it. So the next thing we're going to talk about is, this was mentioned earlier here, so this is a good time to bring it up. Door and alley checking. We call it door checking here on the server. This is basically running around the server, looking for shinies, looking for hidey holes, looking for special things, looking for secret meta drops or whatever. This is a very big no-no on this server because we strive and we really encourage our players to find things out in RP. As a community, as a server, we are very good. I would say I would stand on the ground and say very definitively our server is very good at spreading in-character meta, spreading in-character information so that you learn these things, so that it incorporates more people into things. There's very few things on the server that are heavily meta-guarded when it comes to criminal mechanics, when it comes to criminal activity. Usually somebody somewhere knows something, and if you work your connects and you work your RP, you'll get that information within time, almost guaranteed. This server is all about story progression and roleplay. This is not about just having access to everything and doing all the stuff. So when it comes to door checking, if we catch you door checking, you will probably either be warned in DM or a ticket to please stop. And if we see continuous action of it, we will have to step in as staff and probably have some sort of remediation towards it. Because the problem with door checking is I understand the mentality of, well, how are we supposed to find things if we don't go looking? I get that. The problem is that that's not the right avenue for looking. The right avenue for looking is talking to people, is interacting with other players. If this was just about going to find everything, then we would just probably put blips everywhere. Because what's at that point, there's, it's if you're not going to work the RP to find the things, then there's no point in hiding stuff. If you're just running around the map checking things, it's a quality of RP issue because you're just running all over Kingdom Come looking for, like, you don't go out on your day-to-day basis and just start running down alleys and knocking on doors because you're looking for a pharmacist or because you're trying to find a drug dealer, whatever you're doing in your life. You don't do that. So in the same way, we try to ask that our players not do that here, because the problem is that can be a real big killer to established RP. Because if let's say a new player hops on the server and starts running around door checking and looking for secret hidey holes, finds something that's been hidden for, let's say, months, and this group's been having all this RP around it, and other people have worked their way into the RP of finding it through interaction, and one person comes in and goes, ooh, I found a shiny, and then tells everybody where it is, which we have had happen before, it can absolutely nuke all of the RP around that location and all of the secrecy around it, and it makes it not fun anymore for those players because, well, now everybody knows about it. And it's just basically metagaming at that point. So in the same way we ask you not to watch streams and use information gathered from streams as meta, we also ask that you please don't run around the server trying to find everything and obviously spill your guts to everybody as well. So that's the mentality behind that rule. If you have concerns or issues with it, please open it up in a ticket and we can discuss it with you as staff, because we're very passionate about this. We try not to be very rule play focused here, but we do have some rules we take very seriously, and door checking is one of them. Okay. Next thing. This will be a fun one. Grinding. We know you all are video gamers, and some of you guys love your MMO grinding. We recognize that. We understand there's some of you guys who like to get on a game and just put some music on or put a Netflix show on and go make money. We get it. We totally understand it. There's a lot of us here that are like loot goblins and grinders and MMOers and everything. We get it. Riggsy, our head developer, is a huge MMO player, so and Tease as well is also used to play WoW a lot, so like we get it. That being said, this is not an MMO. This is not a content server. This is a story server. So if you are going to need to do grinding, if there is a need in your character's story to make money, please, for the love of God, balance it with your RP time. What I mean by that is grinding's going to happen. Grinding needs to happen at some point. If you are a criminal group and you need money to buy guns, you need money. And unfortunately, grinding is associated with that. Please make sure that if you're going to grind, you're balancing the time with your time actually out interacting and role-playing. So as an example, for me, I work a lot of hours during the week, so I don't have a lot of playtime in my Monday through Friday. So what I might do sometimes is I will log in on a weekend, like a Saturday or a Sunday. I'll put some music on or whatever I'm doing, and I'll go out and try to make money. I'll go out and grind for a few hours. I'll go out and basically just kind of chill and make money on the server so that Monday through Friday or Sunday through Friday, I'm spending that time role-playing. So the little amount of hours I get after work, I can just get on the server and role-play and storytell, and I'm not having to worry about making money because I did it on the weekend. If you don't have that kind of time, something different is log in and play for like an hour and make a little bit of money, and then spend another 2 or 3 hours RPing with with the server. Don't weight it the other direction. Don't have the majority of your time on server be money making and grinding. Have the majority of the time when you're on the server being interacting and role playing, and then you have the balance to that, which is a lesser amount of time that helps make you money. And if obviously, and there's going to be some fluctuation there. The biggest thing is that we just don't want to see people logging on the server and all they do is grind. If we see people logging on the server and all they're doing is spending the vast majority of their time grinding, doing the same thing day in and day out and day in and day out, and just racking up all these RP dollars for the sake of having them, you're probably going to wind up in a conversation with staff so we can talk to you to see what we can do as a staff team to help mitigate that issue. We're not just going to start yelling at you and be like, how dare you do this? But at the end of the day, it's pixel money. It's not real. Obviously, certain characters need certain amounts of money to do certain things. I'm a criminal too. I get it. Like whether you need money for things. But at the end of the day, you can get a lot of help in this community, in the criminal or civilian world on the server by interacting with their players and talking to folks. There are some very powerful, rich characters on the server that are willing to shell money around for good RP. It does happen. There's a few of them around. So be mindful of that. Just try to have that balance accordingly. Along with that, we as a staff team do not like gating everything because of, like rule breakers, essentially. I think that's the best way to boil it down, right? Like, we don't like doing that. We would rather deal with individual problems and put a lot of faith in, and trust in our community, excuse me, so that we don't have to do that. However, every once in a while, something will happen where we kind of have to step in from a development standpoint and put these little gates up so that we don't have those issues. So this is kind of a little wake up to everybody in the community, because obviously we do not have this as a wide sweeping problem here. I will state that definitively. The server has a very small issue when it comes to grinders. You guys are very good storytellers, and we're very proud of you as an entire community for being as such. But as a reminder for everybody, if you would like more activities to be opened up with either less or no LEOs around as a whole, please, please, please stop just constantly grinding. Please don't degen hour grind. Please don't log in the dead of night to go sell a bunch of drugs to make all your money and then never, you're never, basically where there's no risk. Take that as an opportunity to do other things, because if you cut down on the degen hour grinding and cut down on just spending all your time making money, we can then start going, okay, cool, we've got a balance on this. Our community's listening to us. Community's realizing this is an issue. They're fixing the problem themselves. We can then start opening some of these little things to allow more activity to happen when fewer cops are around or when there's no cops around. So you guys can still go out and do RP through the course of criminal mechanics without it breaking the economy. So yeah, I see a question there that says, does it count as grinding though? If you're only spending a little bit of time doing it, no. You're going out and you're making money for your character. It's not heavy grinding where you're spending all, it's not like logging in at 1 a.m. and then playing until 5 a.m. making all your money because there's no cops around and you're making all your crazy amounts of money. You just happen to be, their playtime happens to be on that time, and you want to go sell weed on your character because it makes sense, and we want to be able to give you the opportunity to do that. So stuff like that. That's just kind of a general hey, see if you guys can help us out with this, maybe we can make some changes to some mechanics. We'd love to look into it. But we do need to make sure that people aren't breaking the economy, because I will state, and in 1.0, when the server first launched, we had a couple issues with this where people were essentially breaking the economy because they were logging in what we call degen hours and were just mass selling weed or doing all these criminal mechanics when nobody was around. And next thing you know, they're sitting on these stacks of money that kind of breaks the economy, because now you have this massive shift, and we don't want that, because obviously some people don't do that. They log in and play for much shorter periods of time. They log in during normal play hours, and they have normal, relatively normal money-making habits. And so then you have this massive weight of, well, these people are sitting on hundreds of thousands of dollars and can afford anything, and money means nothing to them. But all these people down here have relatively normal bank accounts, and this feels more what we want. But because of these guys, we have to change prices on things. What do we do? And so it's a very delicate balance. It requires a lot of fine-tuning, and this is one of those elements. So this is kind of a call for help in that regard, and hopefully we can make some changes in the future. Okay, next thing we've got, and I'm going to state these, as you can clearly tell, these are not in order by any stretch. These were literally staff sat down last night and came up with a bunch of talking points, and they're just kind of all over the place. So apologies for that. The applications for EMS, PBMC, and DOJ are still open. So if you are interested in having a doctor or a nurse, if you're interested in making a medic, if you're interested in being part of the DOJ system, whether it's a criminal defense attorney or ADA's office or prosecutor's office, or a state prosecutor or anything like that, or state's attorney, I'm sorry, all those apps are still open. We are always looking for people to fill some of those roles and to jump into those avenues of RP. They're pretty much always open. And honestly, the Pillbox EMS family is amazing. We have such a really cool medical family on this server. I love seeing the activity at Pillbox. There's not a time I've been on server lately where there isn't somebody at Pillbox, and it makes me very, very happy. I love interacting with our medics. They're super good at what they do. Something to remind a lot of our new players about that come from other servers is please make sure you read our rules, as we do have a injured party transport rule. To clarify what that is, for those of you who are new and are not aware, is we do not allow players, once they are fully downed in some sort of conflict or accident or whatever that's out on the map, to transport a downed friend to the hospital. If you are completely downed, you need to call 911, whether that's EMS or cops coming to you. You need to give them that RP. That being said, you do not have to stay on that location. So if you're like in a shootout with another gang, you can have your friends move you somewhere else, take all your shit, come up with a really cool story as to what happened, and try to lie your way out of it, and then get transported and do the whole thing. And that's happened. We've had that happen recently where somebody was in this huge conflict, got moved, got downed. What?
Move them nearby, not across the map. Just
yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, not across the map. Sorry. Yeah, not across the map. But like, just move away from the area, come up with a story as to what happened, and then let that play out. So you're not taking it's not an instant L, is what I'm trying to say. I know that a lot of people go, well, wait, I'm down in this conflict. I shot at cops or I shot at other players. I'm going to get arrested. Not necessarily. EMS are not going to rat on you. That's not what they're there for. They're not pseudo cops. They are medics. They are there to help the community there. And in fact, you'll probably notice that a lot of the medics treat criminals wildly different than the cops treat criminals. So, be mindful of that as you're playing your crim. But along with that, you need to make sure that they're getting that RP. I do see a question. I was actually just about to address this in regards to the 20 minutes. We have a rule, and if you read our rules, it specifically states that I think it's like 2 minutes. If you call 911 and you do not receive a response in about 2 minutes time, you are free to have your friend transport you, because at that point you've given the olive branch, you've extended the opportunity to state services. If they're online and they're not responding, that's on them. They had
also our respawn timer is literally 2 minutes, so it's easy for you to tell.
Yep.
We have a countdown now, and when it turns from the countdown to the press E to respawn, okay, I've called 911 and I've gotten no response. You're good to go.
Yep. And
I also
go
ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Before we go too far on this tangent, backing up a little bit, I do want to give a massive shout out to the players who play at Pillbox, because realistically, they don't get a lot of cool shiny mechanics versus like LEO and EMS. They are there at Pillbox. They're there for hours sometimes, just being present in case somebody comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever they interact, they want to interact. And it's very clear that they are such a core part of the community. Like even in the server, like Pillbox is the place not to necessarily hang out, but if there's such a like a cultural like hub at this point. And like this week, I've been in and out of Pillbox a lot. And even it was just for the dumbest things of, oh shit, I hopped a fence and I popped a stitch. Let's use it as an excuse to go to Pillbox and have them look at me. Or I took this drug and I didn't like the effect of it. Let me go to Pillbox and let them take care of me. You don't have to be downed to be creative. Oh, I fell off of a staircase and I might have twisted my ankle. And it's not like my health meter is down, but let's do the interaction. I know they're there. So always like give them so much love. Keep shooting Ness. Yeah, apparently keep shooting Ness.
She started it. So I saw some comments up here as well. So Spont made a wonderful example. If you end up hitting E to respawn, or you have your friends bring you in, something to be very mindful. And this is actually going to probably brought up in some of the workshops we're talking about that we're going to be having soon, including the one tomorrow, possibly, is for those of you who are not familiar with how the medical system works, typically, not in the game, I mean in real life, is if you're a victim of some sort of weapon attack, usually a firearm, it's going to be reported to the police. Like, at the very minimum, police are going to come take a statement. They're not going to necessarily arrest you, but if you were to, if you get brought into the hospital with a gunshot wound, the nursing staff are going to alert the police to come in and take a statement. Not come in and arrest you, not come in and say, oh, you've been shot, clearly you've been up to no good. It's coming in and going, hey, you are clearly the victim of a gunshot. I need to take your statement as to how you ended up with this wound. That's it. So if you are going to be brought into the hospital, whether by a friend or through the respawn command, and you have been shot, I would highly recommend doing exactly what Spont suggested here in the chat, which is doing a 911 or a message in one of the channels in Discord or some form or fashion of alerting somebody that somebody is being brought in with a gunshot wound and letting that RP play out. You can obviously come up with whatever story you want. You can leave whatever evidence you'd like. We have evidence tickets for that exact reason. Mew just brought that up. Great avenues of communication for such things to keep that RP flowing. We really want to encourage people to not try to avoid RP through the use of mechanics. So just because you're down and you respawn doesn't mean that, oh, I was down, I'm respawn, I'm back up, I'm perfectly healthy, I don't have any injuries, and I don't need to talk to any medical staff or any of that sort of. No, please make sure that the proper avenues of those so those proper areas and proper people are getting the RP they deserve, just like you. So yeah, and that ties in with what Tease was saying as well. Shut up, Melon. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so we kind of tangented there, but next thing we've got here is branching out from your regular groups to include players in your RP. What we mean by this is whether you are on a existing character that has like an established group of friends or an established group of contacts, or you are a brand new character to the server, but you know some people on the server and you like are trying to hang out with them, it's okay to spread out and meet people. It's encouraged to spread out. We have a very welcoming community, good grief, even some of our criminals are welcoming to new people and are willing to show you things and to like kind of take you under their wing a little bit. We try to encourage all of our players from an out of character standpoint to be very opening and welcoming to new players, and not be trying to drive players off the server the day they're on. Sometimes things happen. I know we had an incident recently where somebody was on the server for a couple of hours and then got scooped and shot like literally like day one. And that can feel really jarring and can kind of be off-putting to some people, but it's gonna happen. It's just there's no way for that player to have known it was a new player. There's nothing that could have happened to change that outcome. And I heard that everybody enjoyed it, which is wonderful. But it's an example of like, just, remember that it is okay to go out and meet new people. It's going to try new things. It's okay to go to an event that you might maybe not have been to before, or that, business opens and you're like, oh, I'm going to go meet some people. Along with that it's great to try new characters and try new things. If you've reached a point on your character where you're bored, or you're like, I don't want to log in because I don't have anything to do, or there's no RP for my character right now, or whatever it is, make a new character. We have 10 character slots on the server, and by T's poll the other day, the vast majority of people are playing 1 to 3. We have 10 slots. So make something new. Try something new. Obviously don't try to make a carbon copy of what you're already doing, which what I mean by that is don't make a character to hang out with the same people. And probably don't make a character to hang out with the same group of friends that you're like friends out of character and you're like, oh, we're just going to make a new group and do the same thing we're already doing and you're just going to do it over here. Like, try new things. Be creative. Be adventurous. Be willing to put yourself into situations maybe you're not familiar with or comfortable with to see how it goes and see maybe you find some new avenue of RP you weren't expecting to really like. We are very welcoming to new here, to creativity, to originality. And if you have an idea for a character, like, oh, I have this really cool idea for this new character I want to play that actually might be really fun, and you're not sure how to implement it, or it might need some staff involvement, please check out the channels that we've got for admin tickets. We have very easy to follow templates for just such a thing. Look at those templates, copy paste the template, fill it out, and open that conversation with admins, and we will do what we can to help. I have some more points on admin level tickets here in a little bit to kind of give some clarification there. But the fact of the matter is we really want to help where we can, and we want to see players try new characters. As honestly, sometimes just trying something new and adventurous can really be like a huge thing that you probably wouldn't have expected, and it becomes like a whole new, like, oh, this is my new favorite character because I went out of my comfort zone. Man, we really are all over the place with these talking points.
I kind of wanna add on to that.
Yeah, go for it.
So I, like, just as a personal thing, I'm very much like my roleplay history. I am a very anxious person. I am a very anxious player. I overthink. I over prepare. I am the worst DM in the world, so I fucking wing it. That's my style now. Otherwise, I won't do anything. But my history with GTA roleplay has always been, oh, you are my friend. I'm going to cling to you because you're my safety blanket. And Neon for many years on different servers was my safety blanket.
Mm-hmm.
And that was great. But after a while, I started to realize I was doing the same thing, same character styles, same sort of stories, and I was eventually getting bored and kind of listless about it. So just figuring out, like, let me just make this one-off character. Let me play them for a day. Let me just feel what it's like to be in their shoes and see if I enjoy it. And I've met some of the most amazing virtual friends just from giving myself that one day of grace to try something new that I never would have expected. And I still talk to those people to this day, and I still love them, and I'm so grateful that I took that chance to have that experience, to try something different, even if I didn't stick with it, just so I can see different perspectives, different stories, and meet amazing role players who also I learned from them. So it's also branching out your experience from your friends, and your little cozy safety blanket group can help you grow as a role player, because now you're experiencing these different situations, whether it's conflict, social, all of these things, and it just helps everybody learn and grow.
Yeah, no, that literally is a great way to sum up exactly what I was just saying is get out and try new things, and you might be very surprised what you discover through that. Okay, where was I? Yes, here we go. Okay, so kind of again, I again apologize that we're kind of all over the place with these notes, and there's no kind of like format, like flowing format here. When it comes to RP, especially conflict RP, is leave breadcrumbs. And what I mean by that is whether you are interacting with the police, you're interacting with another group, another player, it's very important that at the end of an RP encounter, there is the potential for follow-up RP. So, as an example, if you are pushing conflict in another group and you're trying to be mindful of pacing, which we all want, is don't rush to. I forgot how to articulate this. Don't rush from 0 to 100 immediately with no pacing and then cutting it off at the end. So what I mean by that is if you are, I'm going to use the example of a Twitter beef because we've had many instances of Twitter beefs on the server. I'm a fan of Twitter beefs. I think it's great. I think they're great RP starters. But let's say you have an instance where player A is talking smack about player B or group B on Twitter, and group B goes, nah, fuck that, and they go to scoop you up, and they take you out to their turf somewhere. Like they scoop you up and they take you down to, like, let's say it's Vagos, and they grab player A and they take you down to the statues that are behind the apartments. And they've got their flags at their hip. They may be wearing bandanas on their face, but they got yellow, they got colors. They're in like maybe a lowrider, or they're in maybe an unmarked car, but they have like, you can tell in the moment, oh shit, I'm dealing with Vagos. That gives them something that after whatever happens, maybe there's a beat down, maybe they, shoot you in the kneecap, or they do something to send a message of, hey, remember who you're fucking with on the internet. That gives them something to come to follow up with later. That gives them, whether that's, hey, I know this is Vagos that did this to me because I saw the flags, or because they took me to Jamestown, or, whatever. It gives a breadcrumb for them to cling to once they're up, whenever they are up, so the RP can continue. Maybe there's a retaliation. Maybe there's like they try to apologize later. Maybe there's something that happens. Versus same situation, but the Vagos are masked up in nondescript LS Special Number 5 outfits. They're in a stolen box van, and they take you like to the oil fields in some dingy warehouse where it's nondescript. You don't know where you are. And they, and maybe they like are disguising their voices or whatever. And basically they're making it so there's absolutely zero way for the players to figure out who did this to them or what's happening. And so there's no follow-up that can happen from that. That is end capping the RP. There's nothing that group can do to retaliate, to follow up, to apologize, to continue the beef, anything. It is over and done because our players are not allowed to voice ID, so they can't do that. And if you're dressed in nondescript clothing in a stolen car or whatever, or the wind farm, nondescript car in some nondescript location, there's nothing they can go off of to give them any form of RP after that. It is over. It is done. So make sure, make sure that you're being mindful of starting the RP properly, pacing it properly, and leaving bookend RP. In my opinion, if you are going to not my opinion, I'm sorry, in staff's opinion, if you're going to have a beef over something like Twitter, probably don't just run from like, oh, you said something on Twitter to I am dropping you in a vat of toxic waste and dropping a Molotov on you and making sure that you rot in hell. Like, that's a little bit extreme. Being mindful of like, okay, you said something on Twitter, I'm going to come break your kneecaps with a baseball bat because you talk shit about somebody you don't know who they are, or I'm going to I'm going to rob you at gunpoint, or I'm going to, whatever. Like, make sure there's pacing there with your conflict, whether that's civilian and crim, whether that's crim on crim, cop and crim, all of it. Make sure there's pacing there, please. Just because pacing is important, and that goes for beef as well. Actually, Toro had a really good, phrase that she brought to us when we were discussing this as staff, and it was talk shit, get hit, not talk shit, get shot. And I think that's a really good, I think that's a good way to start your RP is like, yeah, you talk shit, okay, smack, you get smacked down. You talk shit again, okay, now it's gonna escalate. Or okay, you talk shit, I smack you, you escalate back, and then it escalates and escalates and escalates, and then it keeps going. Or fuck around and find out. Yeah, but fuck around and find out is like a wide sweeping statement. I'm referring to like talk shit, get hit, like smack them, break, hit them with a tire iron, smack them with a baseball bat, next level escalation. Don't just skyrocket to the highest thing.
Yeah, don't just go for like grabbing your automatics and being like, okay, I'm a force perma you now. Just, brass knuckles, knives, bats. We have so many melee weapons, crowbars. Grab something, just even beat the shit out of them on the street just to teach them a lesson. And then you can escalate from there. From the next time you see them, are they still going to talk shit? Then you can escalate. Are they still going to talk shit? Are they not learning their lesson? Escalate.
Or they may retaliate and escalate themselves. Like, let's say someone's talking shit, you run up and you jump them in the street and you just start beating them shit and curb stomp them, whatever, and you run and you leave them. And then they go, shit, I'm going to get them back. And they come back and they stab you. And then you come back and you're beating them to shit with baseball bats. Then you come back and now the guns are in play. And like, it can keep kind of having this back and forth teeter-totter effect where it's getting more and more intense and more escalated. That's a great example of beef slowly building itself up. When starting conflict should be don't bring. Honestly, I mean, that's up to the character, but that's not a bad idea. Is if you're going to like the very first start of a conflict, bring a baseball bat. Bring. I'll give you an example. When the server first started and Vagos and the old MBG, actually old Vagos and old MBG were like kind of beefing a little bit. The very first conflict we had, we didn't have guns. We ran at him. The Vagos ran at him with golf clubs, and we beat him up with golf clubs. And then they pulled a knife, and it escalated, or whatever. But it was great because we literally ran up on him with golf clubs and started beating the hell out of him. So yeah, a good example. Okay, another thing. Yeah, fuck yeah, we did. Okay, another thing. Scene locks on doors. This is a no-no. Yes, there are many MLOs and interiors on our server that have doors that do not have locks on them. That does not mean you can lock them with a scene. That is basically power gaming. It is okay to use scenes for other things. It is okay to like say, hey, this door belongs to someone's. Like if it's an office door, this is the office of Joe Schmo or whatever. That's fine. Or if you are living out of an interior, like a house on the server that doesn't have locks, it is okay to put like, oh, this is the Schmidt family or whatever. But the door cannot be locked via a scene. If the door has a lock, it will physically have a lock. If it does not have a lock, then you cannot lock it with a scene. It's as simple as that. Yes, even government buildings. If it's government buildings, it's civilian buildings, it's criminal buildings. If a door is meant to have a lock, we will program a lock into it, and we can tie it to a lot of things. But if it's the thing is, if it's a scene, there's nothing the player can do to get through that door without basically power gaming back. Because if let's say McNeil, as head of LEO, or one of the heads of LEO, goes to his office and does a scene lock on the door. It says, this door is locked. And somebody wants to break into his office to steal a file or to spray paint his walls or whatever. They can't do that without power gaming my scene and removing it and saying, oh, I busted your lock. Well, maybe it was a really expensive lock. Maybe it was a really secure lock. How could you break my lock? Like, there's no, it's basically like a weird sort of pseudo text RP where there's no interaction from either player. It's just simply I'm stating this is what happens, and you can't do anything about it, and it goes back both ways. So just being mindful of that. One second. Okay, sorry, just responding to a message regarding the meeting. Okay. Okay, here we go. Excuse me. So, another thing I want to talk about, and this is, again, shifting directions here. This is a very polite request from the staff team as a whole. This includes literally every single one of us in staff, and this is going to kind of a two-faceted thing, but if characters continue to bring up server-related issues in character, we're going to start having fail RP discussions with people in tickets. I'm not trying to say that as a big mean admin. I'm trying to state this as a, hey guys, yes, we are staff. Yes, we run this place, and we try to keep it up and running, and we try to keep it as the best quality as we can for you guys. And we obviously are here to help. And we want to help you guys out. But when we're on the server, we try to enjoy the server. We want to enjoy the server as well. We want to log on the server and be players like you guys. We want to actually just enjoy the server for what it is. Bringing like, oh, I don't like walking, like knowing that you're talking to an admin or talking to a CM or talking to a dev in game, like, oh, this player plays this character, and you start talking about things in character that are clearly out of character things of like, oh, this mechanic feels weird, or this car feels weird, or I don't like how this happened, or I don't like how this is. It's very off-putting, and it happens a lot. It happens consistently to pretty much all of us for some reason or another. And it can kind of be like, well, I just want to play. Now, I will state the caveat to this is if we, as that player or that character, specifically asks for feedback on something or says, hey, can you please test this for me? Or, hey, how did you feel about this? That's different. We're asking the question, please answer it, and that's cool. But unsolicited, just coming up to us and telling us how you feel about things or how you like things or don't like things or things that need changing or things that feel weird in game, in character, it's not what that's for. We have help chat, we have tickets, we have bug reports, we have multiple avenues for people to bring things to staff for us to properly review them and to factor them into our development schedule, to our bug schedule, anything like that, so that we can fix things on the server. But it happens to, as Steve says, it literally happens to all of us, whether it's our crim or our cops or our medics or our civilians or whatever, and it's please just don't do it. The same also goes, and this is a polite request as well. Again, this is just us asking for your guys' help from the community so that we can also enjoy what we've created here, is Twitch chats. If you see one of us in your Twitch chat, like if you have a genuine question of like, oh, how does this thing work again? And you just can't remember, obviously ask it. We'll try to help. But if it's a matter of like, oh, I see a dev in my chat or I see an admin in my chat, I'm going to start talking about something I don't like and articulate it as such so that, hi, Sixy, so that I can get my opinion in front of the staff team. Usually we're going to probably leave the Twitch chat. I'm just going to say it outright. Like, we're probably going to just go, I don't want to be here anymore. And it's like, this feels weird. Like,
yeah, and we'll never come back too.
Yeah,
like if you start talking to me in your stream about, or like even just like you see me in your viewer list and you're like, oh, this is now my podium for talking about how I dislike a mechanic, I'll just leave and I'll never come back. Honestly, like I don't fuck around with that at all.
Yeah, and we don't say that to be like mean jerks. Like, you guys know us. We're here to have fun. We're here to help out. But when we're in a Twitch chat, we want to just watch the stream. We want to enjoy what you guys are enjoying. If we're on the server, we just want to play and enjoy the server. Like, I think, like, specifically for us three, I think the rest of our staff team gets a lot of time to play on the server, which is great, and I'm so happy that's the case. But I can state with pretty high degree of certainty, the three of us, Riggsy, me, and Tease, we don't get to really play on the server all that much. Lately, it's been a little bit better. The last couple of days, I've really gotten to play on the server more than I ever have, which is really great.
We forced it. Like, yeah. I've intentionally ignored code so I can play.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I will never play.
Yeah, and like we're trying to really force the allowance of our staff to actually enjoy the server. But when those few times we do get on the server and we're instantly caught with, oh, this car feels weird or whatever, it's like, okay, we're trying to get away from staff things and just focus on playing, and that when it's hitting us from all angles, it makes it very difficult to do that. Same thing goes for watching Twitch streams. So this is a very polite, very heartfelt request from staff team to be respectful of our time, whether we're on server or in a Twitch stream. Obviously, if we come to you looking for feedback or ask a question, by all means, we have opened the door, we have invited it, but otherwise, please use the avenues that we've opened for you guys to contact us. No, please, this is not us telling you guys to start like retroactively freaking out about things. That's not what this is. This is
no.
Whatever's happened has happened up to this point. Moving forward, just please be mindful of those things. Obviously, if you have genuine, like if you're on your own stream and you have like, oh man, that felt weird, that's different. We're talking about like that immediate switch from tone of, oh, I see someone in my chat, or I've talked to someone in my chat, and now I know that there's a staff member here. I'm going to start putting these opinions and these things up front because I know they're listening. That's what we're talking about. Obviously, if something goes wrong and it feels weird, you're a person. It's going to happen. Like, it's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the targeted, like, feedback to try and get it to us instead of going through the channels we've opened up. Okay. That one's being done. this one kind of goes into what we were talking about earlier with when I mentioned admin tickets of like wanting staff help for things. As I stated, we're absolutely here to help where we can. I will state, and kind of I'm putting some fault and blame on ourselves here. When we first started OSRP, we were claiming very publicly and very openly, we were trying very hard to be like a GM sort of environment where we're here for you guys and we want to help facilitate OSRP, bring your cool ideas to us, and we want to help with everything and everything. And we still have that desire, but we've realized that we overestimated our ability. We over anticipated how we actually could facilitate this. We are a small staff team. We are a very thinly stretched staff team with a lot of IRL responsibility and issues we're dealing with, as well as code and development. And then obviously we have player things we have to deal with from tickets and reports and interviews. And then obviously the little amount of time we get to play. So when it comes to what we're able to facilitate for you guys for these like story requests, we want to help. But we've started to implement a few things. Like as you guys have seen recently, we opened up a template for character requests. If you guys have an idea for a story or a character or something like that, use that template. Tell us exactly what you're wanting to do. Tell us exactly what the end goal is supposed to be or the rough end goal is supposed to be. Tell us exactly what you need from staff and your rough time frame. And then we will do what we can to facilitate. However, we do ask that if you open a ticket using that guideline and that template, give us time to review it. Give us time to actually look into it. I know when we first opened up the server, we were very, very quick with responding to tickets, like within inside of seconds. We, as a staff team, are trying to be better about respecting our time and being and responding to tickets when we can, not feeling like ticket's open, we got to get right on it. Especially if it's a story ticket. Sometimes story tickets require a lot of discussion. Just because we're not talking in that ticket does not mean there's not discussion happening in voice chats or in text chats elsewhere where we're discussing, okay, is this viable? Can we do this? Can we help with this? What can we do to make this work? Anything like that. If I had a ticket that got deleted after 2.0 without getting fixed, should I open another? If you have an issue, like a genuine bug or concern or something like that, or like a problem that didn't get resolved and it got closed, yes, please open a ticket and bring up what the issue is. If it's still not resolved, just case it. Then yes, please open a ticket, bring it up to us, and we'll work through it. And if we have tickets open, we try to poke the creator of the ticket before we close. The only time we close a ticket without like interaction is if there's no interaction. Like one of us from staff will poke the original poster and ask, hey, has this issue been resolved yet? Do you still need help? Has there been any movement on this or whatever? If we don't hear any movement within 24 hours of that ping, we close the ticket because we have a finite number of tickets we can have open at one time. And I think you guys would be shocked at how many tickets we have open at one time. Like usually between 40 and 50 tickets are open per day at every time. We sometimes get upwards to 60 or 70. Sometimes it goes down to 20 or 30. But I would say on average, we have anywhere from 40 to 50 tickets open at one time. Everything from bug tickets to character tickets to evidence tickets to court tickets. I mean, all sorts of stuff. But they're all open all at one time. So
and that's where like the community support folks, Toro and Marbaka, are really helpful.
Yes.
They are like the ones who ping those tickets just as reminders, and they usually either ping us or they'll ping the ticket and ask if the player still needs anything. Just because we have so much going on that we absolutely, if we neglect a ticket, it is never out of malice and it is never intended. It is usually okay, we'll get back to this. Just brain stuff.
Yep.
Or it's oh shit, I forgot this was open. I have a few tickets I said this week I would get to, and they're open, and I haven't gotten to them yet. I promise. I'm sorry. It's not out of malice. I am just a potato.
Yeah, and that's super factual. We do not do it out of like, I'm just going to ignore this ticket. It's like, to give you an example, lately in these past couple of weeks, I've been dealing with personal issues regarding my car getting hit by an ambulance. So I have no car right now. So I'm like been dealing with insurance, and I've been dealing with family issues, like all sorts of stuff going on. So like my attention is split between work and that and then this. And so I miss a lot of tickets. So I have to get pinged a lot. Tease can attest to this. Mew can attest to this. I get pinged for reminders all the time. So, don't get discouraged. Don't get like, oh, they're ignoring me because the ticket didn't get answered right away. It's okay to ping the ticket yourself and go, hey, just gentle poke, like, do we have any movement on this, or is anything you guys need from me or anything like that? That's totally fine. It's okay as long as it's been like not 5 minutes. Like don't spam a ticket because we don't get to it immediately. If it's been a couple of days and there's been no movement and you think the ball's in our court, please feel free to ping us in that ticket. It's okay. Okay. So, along with that, please make sure you guys are following the guidelines and the rules of. Thank you, Quartus.
What broke you?
No,
What broke you?
Quartus just DM'd me and went ping pong, and I was just like, "Doc on it." Thank you, Quartus. So yeah, please make sure that if you are opening a ticket, you're following one of the templates we put in there. If you're not sure if it fits into one or not, please feel free to ask first, and then we'll direct you to the right template. We've tried to make the ticket process as easy as we can for you guys. We don't have 6 different kinds of tickets. We have one, and then we as staff help determine which category it falls into so that you don't have to. But we do ask that you at least provide the information we're requesting on the front end so that we know where to put you. Okay. Okay, last thing when it comes to admin tickets, this has come up in the past. We've mentioned it before. We're going to continue mentioning it. It is okay to come to staff and admins asking for, like, hey, I have this thing. Can we do this? Or I have this idea. Is this possible? Please do not open an admin ticket and ask us to hand you things. Saying, hey, can I get all of these guns for my character because he's got a backstory of a gun dealer? Or can I have access to the meth mechanic because my character worked with Walter White or whatever? Like, do not open an admin ticket asking for mechanic or asset handouts. We will always try to reward RP. We will always try to facilitate roleplay with you guys so that you guys can get in the avenue that you guys are wanting to go in. But we are not just going to hand things to you because you asked for them. That's not RP. Yeah, exactly, Payne. This is not a walking, talking market. Like, this is a opportunity for you to bring your ideas to us and for us to work with you to facilitate them. But the quote, respect my character's backstory, give me a nuke is not going to work.
But it's my backstory, Neon.
Yeah, I don't care.
Why aren't you respecting my backstory?
Because fuck your backstory. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, if you have Neon, backstory. Yeah, no, if you have an idea, bring it to us. We will work with you. If you bring a legit idea to us and you've already got some of the RP, and that's the other thing, right? If you have an idea, don't be surprised if we ask you to get the RP rolling first. So if you have this idea, like, I want a character that is a gunsmith, like a character that fixes guns. Okay, cool. Have you started the RP yet? Well, my character's working in ammunition and is very knowledgeable about guns and is interacting with people. Cool, that's starting the RP. You have got the ball rolling on your own. Let's see what we can help facilitate that. If you're going to bring an idea to us, it's highly advised. It's not like you have to, but it's highly advised. You do what you can on your own to get the RP rolling first, and then we will try to help fill in the gaps after the fact. Coming to us... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, just coming to us with an idea and having not even created the character yet puts us in an awkward position because we may be ready to help you, like, very quickly, but you're like, oh, I haven't even written the character yet. I don't even have him built yet. Like that... Please be ready for things to start moving, and then we will kind of partner with you to keep them moving.
Also, just as the sake of realism and for the sanity of our devs, some things are just not feasible.
Yes.
Some things will always be in admin hands, and it's not against any players, and it's not against anybody. It is just because of the delicate balance of GTA roleplay economies, especially criminal economies. There are some things that we have pushed to try to get into player hands, and then there are some things that we realized we probably should hold on to this so we can watch, maintain, and make sure that a certain criminal market isn't being flooded and that people are just printing money with some of these things. So if you want to come up with an idea, like Neon suggested, start the roleplay, but it's not a guarantee that we're going to say, okay, yeah, sure, you got it.
Yep.
Or sometimes it'll take a while for that to happen because then we have to think about all of the dev pieces that go into it. How would this fit with our current economy? How will this fit with our current player pop? How will this fit in all of these different pieces that when we can release it and we have worked with that player, that it feels cohesive and they're good to go and we don't have to worry about it, set it, forget it, we're moving on. So if you have a wild, crazy idea about doing this thing, just, in my opinion, try to keep the idea grounded and try to keep it small because you can always work up from there. And if it's something small, it's easier for us to work around and come up with ideas and brainstorm and think of different ways to implement it. And if it's just going to be a solid no, we're going to tell you a solid, I'm sorry, this doesn't work. And it's not because we don't like you. It's not because out of malice. It's because there are so many things on the back end Briggsy has literal flowcharts for some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Not even joking. And it's just that idea just won't work with where we are right now. Doesn't mean in 6 months it won't work. Doesn't mean in a year it won't work. Just for right now, we can't facilitate it.
And we'll usually be very upfront with you on like, this doesn't work right now, but this may work down the line. Or, hey, how you have it right now doesn't work, but here are some ideas we can try to do to like kind of a compromise. Like, this won't work, but how about these ideas? Like, we will try to work with you. If we say no in a ticket, it doesn't mean you need to just kind of go, okay, cool, and close the ticket and then just be done with it. Maybe there's still a conversation that can be had there. Again, just be patient with us, work with us, and we'll try to work with you.
Also, on that note, if you do get a shiny and you've done this role play, you've talked with us, and all this other stuff, and you're given this unique thing that's put in your character's hands, and you just start immediately abusing it, it's going to be taken away from you. We're going to talk to you. We're going to try to help out, but there is a risk that you will lose it. You have to respect it.
Along with that, same thing goes if you ask us for something like, hey, I have this cool idea, you put in some of the RP to get started, we give you the thing, and then you just never do anything with it. Don't be surprised as well if it goes away in some capacity, because at the end of the day, if we hand something to you as like a trusted resource or mechanic or whatever, we expect you to use it. We expect you to bring it to the server and include people in that RP. Like I said back, at the start of the meeting, is not internalizing, looping people into things, actually keeping things moving and usable. So don't just get something cool and then let it sit and collect dust. Don't just get something in and abuse the hell out of it. Respect what we are able to provide to you, so you guys can have the RP experience you want, and then use it, utilize it correctly, and include people in it. And respecting dev time for sure, because we have a small dev team, but we have a very active dev team. But we have a laundry list of bugs that we're fixing and development things we're bringing in and adjustments that are being made and requests that sometimes need to be fulfilled. And so we all need to be mindful of ourselves included, need to be mindful of each other's time and our dev time for sure. Along with that, and actually that's coming up later. That's right. I have an point on that. Okay. RP your way through and into things. This goes back to door checking. Don't try to gain things or connects with OOC arrangements. So this is kind of a mixture of please don't metagame, please don't door check, and please don't ask for things or try to arrange things through DMs or through Discord chats. Obviously, if you have friends you're trying to coordinate with, that's fine. What we mean by this is don't DM somebody asking, can I do this thing? Can I have this thing? Especially staff, like specifically staff. But try to let things happen organically in game. Like try to establish connects between characters in game. Try to find out about things in game. Obviously the big one is don't watch streams and use the information there. Duh. But same thing kind of goes with just like Discord discussions and voice chats and things like that. Just let things play out in character organically in game. If you want to do something with your character, try to pursue those avenues in game. Don't try to arrange them out of character. Don't try to ask for them. Just try to make them happen. Obviously, this is separate from like an admin ticket. I'm just talking like normal RP avenues, but use RP to your advantage. Use your ability to speak to each other as an advantage, because you'd be surprised what you can come up with. I bring this thing up at every single meeting, and I will continue to bring it up at every single meeting, and it's ICA equals ICC. In-character actions have in-character consequences. This has become the unofficial motto of this server. Don't fuck around and surprise Pikachu when you find out. This applies to literally every single character. Whether you are a cop treating criminals like shit, and then all of a sudden the criminal decides to off you with a sawed-off shotgun, you're like, where the fuck did that come from? Well, maybe you should look at the RP it's been establishing for the past couple of weeks. Or, as a criminal, don't be surprised if you're shit-talking cops all the time and, beating them up and stabbing them and shooting them, and all of a sudden they start slapping, like, big-time fines on you and charges instead of being very lenient. Well, guess what? You've been ramping this up for weeks of RP. Your character is now on this shit list. This is going to happen, especially if there's been, like, very minimal pacing to it. So, across the board, in-character actions have in-character consequences. You fuck around on, as a cop and you break rules, you're going to get in trouble in character. As a criminal, if you fuck around on somebody else's turf, you're going to get in trouble. You're going to get fucked over. Like, it's extremely important that everybody remembers that this is the case. Just because something happens to you in character does not mean someone's OOC pissed at you. Does not mean that someone's just fucking around. It means more than likely some sort of action took place to facilitate that end result. And this is always going to be reminded to people. This is always going to be brought up because it seems to be something that sometimes people just forget. It's very important. Along with that, please, as a reminder, keep in character, and out of character. If something happens in game, try to keep it in game. If something happens out of character, keep it out of character. Please do not let those lines bleed. Obviously, there will be times when tensions rise, blood starts pumping, and things start to bleed a little bit. It's gonna happen. We're human. It's a video game. It's roleplay. It's bound to happen. The important thing is that a community, we try to be mindful of it. We try to catch ourselves, and we try to keep it as separated as we can. Along with that, as a reminder, it's in character. Cops are not trying to fuck crims over. Cops are not going out on the daily looking for every reason to fuck crims out of their fun and to throw them in jail. In fact, most of them don't want to put you in jail. Galaxy, you're not helping because because if you're in prison, then you're there and nothing can happen. Like, we're not here to fuck you over. In the exact same way, crims are not here to fuck cops over. Crims are there to do their thing, but let's not put word in people's mouths. Crims are there to do their thing. Cops are there to do their thing. And at the end of the day, that is inherently going to put both parties at odds with each other. Like, by sheer definition, you're going to have butting of heads because cops and crims are inherent enemies. So if something happens and the crims are like, wow, that sucks, the cops didn't do it to fuck you over. They did it because they're doing what cops do. If something happens and the cops are like, wow, that sucks, the crims didn't do it to fuck you over. The crims did it because they do what crims do. So along with that is, please do not immediately assume that because something didn't go spectacularly amazing on a scene, that the default should be somebody did something wrong. Somebody broke a rule. Somebody did this. Please do not just inherently assume right out the gate that somebody did something for an immediate win, or somebody did something because they weren't paying attention to the rules, or they weren't worrying about RP, or they were hacking, or anything like that. Leave it to staff to look into things. If you have a genuine concern, if you genuinely are concerned that somebody did something against the rules or something may have happened, obviously, please bring it to staff. We have multiple avenues for that. We want that. We want to catch the problems on the front end. But just because something went wrong, just because, you lost, you took a little L, your cop went down, you got arrested or whatever, doesn't mean that somebody went out of their way to cause that to happen or that somebody broke a rule to do it. It makes it very difficult for there to be trust amongst the community when the immediate gut reaction is, you did something wrong and I know it, kind of thing. That's a big thing. Along with that, if something happens to you in character, like you get get tackled off a ledge and then cuffed, or you get pitted, or a car accidentally rams you, which we've mentioned many times. Desync is a thing. It is a big thing in OneSync. You're going to have desync. You're going to have moments where cars collide into each other. You're going to have moments where a cop doesn't know the move you're about to make and they ram your car by accident or whatever. Does not mean it was intentional. Does not mean it was them trying to ram your car. It does not mean any of that sort of stuff. It could just be an illegit accident. It could be desync. It could be a bug. It could be whatever. The immediate in-character response should never be, really, bro? It should never be like, oh, I just got shot. I just got tased. I got rammed. I got pitted. And in-character go, really, bro? That should that should not be the immediate gut response. Obviously, if there's RP happening, do what your character's going to do, but don't let that out of character moment slip in of going the gamer thing of, oh, I got headshot and COD from across the map. Really, bro? Please catch yourselves, guys. Please be mindful of that, because it is extremely immersive breaking, whether it's a crim on crim or it's cop on crim or crim on cop. This applies to every single player on the server. It is super unimmersive. It is super jarring to have somebody break that momentary character and do, really, bro? When you've been tased or you've been shot or you've been rammed or you've been pitted. Just please be mindful of that. It's not here to fuck people over. It's not here to screw people over. It's RP, okay? Along with that, conflict does not need to be gang on gang, does not need to be guns, does not need to be crim on cop. It can be mechanic versus mechanic shop. It can be tow wars. It can be taxi wars. It can be restaurant wars. I highly want to encourage you guys as a whole, get some conflict going between your restaurants. Get some conflict going between tow drivers. Get some conflict going between taxi drivers and mechanic shops. And we have all these player-owned businesses on the server. And you could absolutely get some conflict going of stealing mechanic parts from each other's shops, or tagging each other's shops, or trying to steal each other's business, or anything like that. like it's okay to have that. It's okay to like open your restaurant when another restaurant's open and try to like have a competition between the two businesses. It's okay to race to a tow call because somebody else got the tow call. It's okay to try to take somebody else's cab ride or whatever. Like those are great little tiny areas of conflict that are great RP starters for people and can be a lot of fun. So it's okay to do that. It's encouraged to do that. Like I've had there's been when the server first started, they were talking about food wars. There was a great little beef that was sparking up between, I think it was Burger Shot and Uwu. It was really fun. So those are great opportunities for that. Please, like, don't feel like you can't open your shop because somebody else is already open, like kind of thing. Okay, last thing of like the reminders, and then we have some cool positive stuff we want to talk about, and then we have a couple other things. We mentioned the cop cars already. The cop cars, we are aware. We are acutely aware that there is a massive issue right now on the server of huge lag spikes, PC lockups, and FPS drops when cop cars enter the grid. We know that it's a thing. We're aware it's a thing. All of us have dealt with it. All of us have now seen it. We've been doing testing for weeks, if not months, on trying to deduce what the actual cause is, what is where this is coming from, trying to and fix this issue without doing. Let me first say we've been removing every possible option for the problem, and we finally come to the conclusion that the cop cars are the issue. That when cop cars, the Chargers, the Caprices, whatever, enter the grid you are on, you will see a huge lag spike. Some people, their PC locks up for a quick second or longer. Some people see a massive FPS drop. Some people, like I say, have lag spikes or whatever. We don't know if it's poly issues or optimization issues. We don't know exactly what the issue is. But we're venturing a pretty good guess based on what we know is that it's probably poly issues because they are a higher poly count. Even though we've optimized textures, we've changed models to be a much lower poly model. Like we have done everything we can to fix the vehicles without removing the vehicles. So we're publicly stating right now, and cops are already kind of aware of this because it came up at the last LEO meeting and it's been in some discussions, is that a lore-friendly LEO fleet is going to be worked on. We're going to be removing all of the IRL cars like Chargers and Caprices and be swapping them out with like Buffaloes and Fugitives and stuff. This will be happening over the course of time, however long it takes to make this happen. It's not going to be quick. It's not going to be a rushed process. We are making sure that we are picking good models for it. We are making sure that we are going to make these as the highest quality we can for being lore-friendly cars. Galaxy Mom is going to be helping with the models. I'm going to be redoing all the liveries. Ram and Galaxy are going to be tag teaming on the handling. Like this is a huge process and a huge project we're going to be working on. But the expected end result is that when this is over, those lag spikes, those massive frame drops, those PC lockups when a LEO car enters the grid should go away. Like that's the hope. These cars are extremely less poly. They're going to be using different kinds of lights. The carcals are going to be different. So across the whole, fingers crossed, this will help massively with lag issues. We won't know until we really test it. We're not going to completely nuke our cars. We'll stick them in an archive somewhere, but we're hoping that by removing some of these higher poly models off the server and putting these lower poly models on, it will help relieve some of those issues. That being said, this will take time to facilitate, so we're telling you guys now, so you guys don't ask us every week when it's coming, or that you guys are like, when is this happening? Can you guys give us an update? We will launch it. Thank you, Tease. We will launch it as soon as they are ready. In the meantime, please be patient. When you guys are on server, if you guys do need to deal with like Band-Aid fixes for these things, some things you can do in the meantime are VSync is, if you enable VSync, that can help lock your frames to the refresh rate of your monitor. Frame caps through other methods, like for example, I have ENB through NVE. You can use that to cap your frames. And then lowering your graphic settings can also help as well. If somebody's asking about Civ cars, that's not gonna happen. We have tons of Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I said they're not. We're just talking about something else. Yeah.
There will be no IRL cars on the server when we're done with this. There will be some other IRL vehicles that will remain, like helicopters and boats and things like that, but that's it. We do have a lot of lore-friendly, like GTA catalog cars that are on server for civs, and then obviously we're going to bring the LEO cars in. There's going to be a wide range of LEO cars that will be brought in. It's not going to be like 2 or 3. We have a lot of options to choose from, so it's going to look really good. But anyways, that is happening. So that being said, those are like the reminders. Those are the things we wanted you guys to be aware of and kind of think about and help us out with moving forward. Now we just have some stuff we want to kind of like just be positive with you guys about, like some like really cool stuff. So first off, RP is popping off lately. Like conflicts are popping off. Like we've had, I think, a new conflict start every night for the past 4 nights. As I said earlier, population numbers are up. We've seen a little mini boom in the community lately. A lot of applications coming in, new players joining the server almost daily. Just awesome stuff across the board there. It's been really encouraging to us as a staff team to see. We've been really excited for you guys, just all the stuff you guys have been doing. We've had some amazing examples of some civilian enterprises and roleplay happening lately with different businesses. Criminal groups are becoming active and interacting with each other and have stuff going on there. Some investigation RP that's been really cool to be a part of, and then really cool to see where the cops are going and how they're digging into things. You guys with the evidence tickets are amazing. Keep up the evidence tickets. If you're ever like, well, should I open an evidence ticket? Open an evidence ticket, because at the very least, we can work with you to like, hey, I want to leave evidence, but I don't want to leave too much evidence. Can you help me? We will gladly help you leave little breadcrumbs, because obviously we want it to be paced. We don't want you to silver platter yourself over to cops or to another group, but we do want to help you guys leave little breadcrumbs sprinkled around for people to interact with so that RP keeps moving forward. As I said earlier, you LEOs are fucking killing it lately. I've been really, really proud of you guys with what you guys have been doing lately as far as how you've been interacting with criminals, how you've been interacting with the community. You guys have been mindful not to charge stack too much. When you guys are making mistakes, you are owning up to it and fixing the problem immediately. You're keeping it in character. Like across the board, LEOs, you guys have been killing it. Crims, seriously, same thing. I've been loving seeing what you guys have been doing and interacting with you guys. Keep it up. Something that we are always proud to see here is the diversity of our server feels incredible. Like, we have a very diverse and unique server when it comes to groups and characters. Like, we're not seeing a large population of like the cookie cutter GTA RP characters. We have very unique characters coming into our server with unique backstories and personalities and interactions with players, and then groups that feel diverse and immersive. Like, if you go to the south side, you interact with CGF or Vagos or MBG or Ballas, it feels like you're interacting with Southside bangers, basically. It feels legit. Whereas if you go and interact with like the punks, they feel like actual punks. You interact with the bikers and they feel like bikers. Like, it's really, really cool to see these groups, emerge and feel like what they should, and to have these characters that feel like what they should, and have unique creativity coming out of you guys as well. We seriously love it. Mew just said, as she's there in chat, is we've just opened up a thread in general of your favorite RP moments. We want to hear them. Like, we would love to hear from you guys. What has been your favorite RP moment lately? And you guys can post multiple moments there. We want to hear about it. We want to hear what you guys have been really enjoying lately. What is some of the cool stuff that we haven't seen that you guys have been a part of that just felt incredible? That's great. We want to hear about that. The server and the city is starting to feel like a lived-in environment with a range of character types and group styles that have their own little stories and backstory and backgrounds that are starting to emerge. Their own little cultures, and it's starting to feel very authentic and immersive, which is great, and it's more than we could have hoped for. We have a wide range of dynamic characters. We're proud of that. You guys we don't feel like there's a bunch of carbon copy characters that are just like, oh, this is just Joe Schmo who's from this other city, and I'm just going to plop him over here, and he's just the normal dude. Like, we love you guys are being creative and coming up with new fun ideas. You guys are doing great. And like I said, the reminder early about keeping an IC and OC, that's just a reminder. We've seen a very good, healthy amount of clear separation between in-character and out-of-character in a good, positive way. And we want you guys to keep it up. That's why that reminder is there, to remind you guys to just keep it up and keep doing what you guys are doing. It's been really, really encouraging to see that, like, when conflict happens in character, you guys are laughing about it out of character. You guys are chill with it out of character. It's great. Please keep that up. Overall,
especially all the shout outs that happen afterwards. It's amazing.
Absolutely. The RP shout outs, if you guys are new to the community and not familiar with that, it's in the regular section of Discord there. It's just below your pictures channel and your screenshot submissions. Basically, it's exactly what it sounds like. You have a really cool interaction on the server and you want to give an out-of-character shout-out to somebody. Maybe things got a little tense and you want them to know everything's cool. You can hit them up in the shout-outs. Like, hey, so-and-so, I really enjoyed that encounter. It was great RP. Can't wait to see what happens with it afterwards. Maybe it's something silly and you want to tell them you really made you laugh, whatever. Use that shout-out. It's great. If you're not sure who to tag, you can say, oh, it's so-and-so, and I'm sure somebody will see it, know who to tag, and tag them for you. And yes, you can tag admins in that channel. We will not bark at you. I've noticed a lot lately. People will be like, oh, at Riggsy, this was super cool, or at Dub, this was really cool, and then they'll just put like neon. I'm like, no, you can tag me. It's okay. Like, I'm not gonna bark at you. So yeah, please use that channel. We really appreciate seeing all that. But overall, our staff team as a whole is super proud of you guys. As an entire community, you guys are more than we expected in an RP community. You guys continue to make us happy and remind us that what we do here is fun and exciting and unique, and we want to keep it that way. And then you guys are part of that. You guys are helping us keep it that way. Oh yes, thank you, Toro. As a quick reminder, we're not done yet. We have a couple of things we gotta do. But real quick, there are several RP workshops coming up soon. So one is actually tomorrow. I believe tomorrow is, which one's tomorrow, Tease? It's the one about like wants and needs, right?
Yeah, character concepts and such.
Okay, yeah. So character concepts, wants, needs, that's going to be tomorrow. Tease has a couple other ones she has scheduled. I'm going to be doing a criminal workshop soon. I just haven't had a chance to schedule it yet. But if you guys are interested in those, it's not like us telling you what you're doing wrong. It's not us teaching you how to RP. It's working collectively as a group to go over ideas and things that maybe you haven't thought about. Maybe you are new to RP and want some help and some suggestions for people who have been doing it for a long time. We want to help with that. We want to kind of not only kind of give suggestions and guidelines and ideas for you to do as a role player, but also as a culture for our server, the kind of expectations we have here so that you're not caught off guard. So you know kind of how to gauge and how to direct your RP so that it fits better with our community so that you can thrive here.
And it's more of just like, we all have learning opportunities. Even those who have been doing this for years, we can always learn. And these are just, it's not like what I'm saying is the end all be all. Do this as it is. I'm very much approaching this as, hey, I'm just shooting a bunch of ideas at you of different things that I've learned over the years, different things that I've taken or others have taught me. And these are just things that if you could use it as a tool to, some of it might just be like refreshers, as others are saying in chat, or some of it might be like, oh, I already know this stuff, cool. Some of it might be things that you just didn't think about conceptually. Like doing characters and roleplay for GTA roleplay is so vastly unique and different from anything else that you could take with you, and just how to make it work. So really just use it as a tool. I am not the end all be all. I am not fantastic and perfect. That's not the takeaway from this.
Okay. So real quick before we go any further, Rigsy, you had a list of things that you wanted to go over from a dev angle. Do you want to go over that real quick?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Sweet.
All right. God, this guy talks a lot.
Shut
I'll
up.
try and keep it quick. All right. So first thing that I kind of want to start with is we're gonna keep rolling out like patches and content and stuff like that, but I'm gonna kind of give devs like a no rush thing till probably the new year, starting here pretty soon, just so that everybody can get on the server and not have to worry about pushing out stuff. Because if you guys haven't noticed, we're kind of doing patches on like a daily rate right now, and it's a lot of work. So and I'm gonna give the devs a break to enjoy the server, enjoy their characters and things like that. The next thing is that I've seen some complaints or conversations about mechanics being changed and things being like values being adjusted or stuff like that. Change is gonna happen, and when like in servers that I develop for, change is going to happen, and it's something that you just need to get used to, honestly. Sometimes I'm not going to give notice on something being changed. Sometimes I'm going to ask for opinions on things being changed. But the biggest thing is I've been doing this since the since 5M was 16 slot servers. So this isn't my first run around with developing on this platform. I don't think that good enough is actually good enough. I don't think that good enough is. I will never accept good enough. It's not acceptable for me. And in my eyes, perfection is always unachievable. So that means that we are going to keep fixing, going to keep tweaking things. And it's just going to be a constant thing. Whether it's a civ or a crim mechanic, when I look at logging, when I look at things like heat maps, and we don't really have like a heat map, but like we have people streaming, people talking about doing different things, whether it be in the chats or or on streams and stuff, if I see everybody flocking to one thing, while I enjoy that everybody is enjoying one thing, in my head also, I know that there's a reason, because I know that you guys are all gamers. And so if you guys all flock to one mechanic, I know that it's not just because, oh, it's just that fucking fun. So I'm going to look into it. So the next thing is because we've gotten a few tickets in this in the past. We do not accept, and we will never accept, custom assets, interiors, or models. If you guys submit like clothes, guns, cars, an MLO for a building, we will not accept it. If you guys ask for them, it's going to usually be met with a no. And that's mainly because because we add models on a case-by-case basis. There's a lot of conflicts that can happen with models. There's a lot of optimization that needs to happen with them. There's a lot of time allocation that needs to happen to implement these things. And so we analyze everything, and then we add what we see fit. We can't just add everything that everybody wants, because then the server, when it restarts, just never comes back up. And then the next thing is I really appreciate you guys using help chat, and not only using help chat to ask us questions, but using help chat to kind of like use the community, because the community might have had the same issue with you and already figured out a fix for it, right? The couple things that I wanted to point out in help chat though, if 5M is down or having issues, we are not a 5M help desk. We can try to do what we can, but we don't, from like running a server perspective, we don't go that deep into like 5M's actually core code. We actually don't really touch it at all. So a lot of the stuff that like, if 5M is down and you can't connect to the server, there's nothing that I can do to fix that. There's nothing that I can do to expedite the process of them fixing that. And a lot of the times, like the crash errors that you get make no fucking sense on their end. Like they make absolutely no fucking sense to us. It's kind of just like a random like logging output that they put in that they probably know the answer to, but I didn't write 5M, so I don't know. Another reminder that with help chat is using terms like borked, scuffed, broken, fucked, or whatever else like you use, that doesn't help me at all. It doesn't help a developer at all to go for somebody to go, oh, Chop is fucked right now. Like, how is it fucked? Like, what were you doing? Explain what the issue is so that we can go in and we can try and reproduce it, and then we can address it. But you just saying that it's scuffed, like, cool. I'm just gonna move on. I'm not gonna look into it. Because it doesn't help me. I need actual data to be able to test things. The other, like with the help chat as well, keep taking things to tickets that might be revealing meta mechanics. Definitely keep putting in tickets if you think that something is an exploit, because we found a couple of those recently by people putting in tickets. So I really appreciate that. The dev team itself, we have a really big backlog and roadmap of things that are going to be implemented or that are going to take time to fix. But just know that when you guys actually report bugs, we do have a bug board that you can't see that we probably chip away like 3 to 5 of those every other day. So that we are making progress with getting bugs fixed. It's just some of them take time, or some of them, we take them to like our individual servers and we can't reproduce them. And so we're kind of stuck in limbo until we can figure out what the hell is going on. I mean, that's really it for me.
Okay.
Like I said, the biggest talking point for me is just that don't expect like massive patches until 2023, because I kind of want to give everybody a break.
Yeah, that was something that was discussed amongst the three of us somewhat recently. To kind of give you guys a clarification on that, he's as a head dev, he is putting a kind of a freeze on big shit. Basically, we're gonna obviously try to adjust any massive bugs or exploits or things that we can get to. But as far as like huge code implementation, we're pretty much gonna very shortly be putting kind of a freeze on that till after the first of the year, so that the staff team as a whole can have a much deserved holiday break. Obviously, we're still going to be here. We're still going to be active. We're still going to be on the server. We're still going to be, taking care of tickets and everything. But as far as like heavy dev server stuff is going to be considered, And we want to make sure that our staff has the opportunity to actually like really enjoy the server for a little bit and have a little bit of a break. So just be aware of that moving forward. There may be some things that take a little bit longer to get to because of that. Okay, so we've gone through all of our talking points real quick. This is kind of a last minute thing, so we're gonna go a little bit long, possibly because of this, but we'll try to make it as quick as we can. Jaybird and Staff Sergeant David with the DOJ. Can you guys raise your hands real quick, and I'll get you guys moved up. They would like to quickly talk about DOJ stuff. Which we are absolutely down for. How do I bring you up here? Invite to speak. Is that how you do it? There's Jaybird. And where'd he go? There he is. And there's Staff. Okay, so Staff Sergeant David and Jaybird, they've been helping us kind of run our DOJ lately, so they're going to have a couple things to talk about with DOJ, and then we will move on.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Oh, you are echoey, sir.
Oh.
That reverb.
That is reverb. That was like an arena. You have like a yeah, there we go. I was like, you have like some sort of sound effect on. I was like, what is that? It's like, God, is that you? Like,
we had a power outage last night, so everything's fucked on my end. All right, hey, welcome everybody to this. We're the DOJ guys, me, Staff Sergeant. There's other people, but we're the ones that have just been there doing things and yelling at people. Hey, DOJ exists. Surprise! But y'all didn't know that. We have been doing our due diligence and making it more accessible. When OffScript first started, it was very robust and very well tuned and great, but also the way the DOJ was set up was more for a server of like 300 people, which didn't quite work out as anticipated. So Staff Sergeant and the people in the legislation committee and all the people, we've been slowly making it all more accessible, simplifying, and hey, no more forever holds. Yay.
Yeah,
So
that was a huge, like honestly, anyone who's going to be put on a hut charge ever, you have Staff Sergeant and Jaybird to thank for the fact that you won't have to rot in prison waiting for a court trial.
Yeah, those aren't a thing anymore. So I've actually gone ahead and made a very simple idiot-proof DOJ chart. Can I post that?
Yeah, go for it. It's actually it was one of the greatest. It's like DOJ for dummies. It's great.
So I think this works. This is the idiot-proof DOJ chart up until the point of going to court, and then I'll make an idiot-proof court chart soon.
Ooh, I'm excited for round 2.
Yeah, that's gonna be great. See how simple it is now, y'all. Real simple.
My favorite one on here is still crime not caught, positively identified. No, darn. Like that will always be my favorite flow on this whole sheet.
Yeah. Also, did you guys know that we have bench trials and that I myself am always around in the evening for them? So hey, if you feel that you got caught, but you know, if you did the crime but you shouldn't be charged for it, call a bench trial, yo. Because all you got to do is say bench trial, and then I will be there mostly, unless I'm not, but mostly I will.
Jay, don't ever change.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you straight up. Don't ever change who you are. I'll be there unless I'm not, and then I won't be. Like.
Also, I don't know if you know this, but as being a judge, I'm also a cop and the DA. The DA. I would love some people to come join the DOJ. So that I can stop being all those things. Be a lawyer, but by needing lawyer, I need people to do crime. So remember earlier when he said do crime, do it, and then say you didn't do it, and then go to bench trial.
Okay, hold on. I want to clarify. This is this is not staff approved. This is not staff sanctioned. On the go do crime and say you didn't do it?
No, yeah.
No, yeah, it's fine. Just say you didn't do it and go to court.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Let's do it.
Because Lord knows I love cops and I love crims, but that,
DOJ needs love.
We need love, but also just because we play cops and crims doesn't mean we lead either way. So go to court, buy a lawyer.
Just go buy one at Walmart and stick it in your back pocket. You're good to go.
Yeah.
This message
Yeah.
has been approved by the OffScript RP Department of Justice.
And oh yeah, so we're also going through, and we do know that some of the charges and some of the ways things are done are not this new push of let's just do it better. So we're changing things. So yeah, fines and stuff, times and stuff, they will be changing based on like what the server needs. So you will see that coming. But we also want to make sure that like people remember that this is still a serious RP server, and that if you murder people, you're still gonna go to jail for some time.
Yep.
So remember that stuff. And court's not scary. I do it. Come on. Have you've listened to me for the last 2 minutes? Do I sound like a person that does DOJ stuff? No. But do I do it? Yes.
You sound like the guy that runs heaven.
Exactly. Right?
And the version
So
from
why not-
Monty Python where he calls him out for groveling, like that's the version we're talking about right now.
Yeah. So why not do court stuff? Because it's fun. There you go. David?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Staff Sergeant, do you have anything you'd like to add into this?
Yeah.
Oh, I was really hoping you were gonna have an echo too, to
Thank God.
like sentiment.
It can be kind of intimidating, overwhelming to try to get into the DOJ, whether it be as a PD, a private practice lawyer, or with the DA's office. One of the things I've been mindful of is trying to take that shroud of intimidation away from it. So apply. We're going to be very liberal. If you don't want to be a lawyer, there is the paralegal avenue, which you can learn about the law and the DOJ, but don't have to take the test. When I mark the tests, I am being very liberal with the test. I just want people in there.
Dude, I passed the test.
Come to court, argue, even if it's nonsensical, we're going to have fun with it. We want people into court. We've had an influx of lawyers lately. I will say a lot of the lawyers and is staff right now, we are getting better populated. However, as I think all staff will mention, the more they take on, the more they become overwhelmed. So let's get some players in there instead of just staff. So please, please, please apply. Get involved in the DOJ. As Jay said, ask for the bench trials.
Yeah,
Get
I
it
love
going.
bench trials.
Well, and we have an
Would love to
interior
have
that can
some.
facilitate it, whether we move everybody over to the actual courthouse and do it there, or we literally just do it in one of the meeting rooms of MRPD. We have the facilities across the map now to accommodate all of that RP.
Yep. Do bench trials, go to court. You didn't just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty.
My inner cop is screaming right now, but okay. All right. Anything else from
of this.
anything else from the DOJ,
All right,
folks?
No, we're good. I think we're good.
Okay,
That was mostly it. Just you utilize us.
Yes. All right, cool. Thank
We
you
also have
guys.
an awesome courthouse that we want to use.
Yes,
We've
we
only
do.
had a few trials, so let's go.
Yep.
Use it more.
Yep. That being said, I do want to remind. Actually, do you guys move back yourselves, or do I?
I don't know. I'm just gonna sit here quiet.
Okay, I can't remember, but yeah, that's fine. When it comes to, oh my gosh, my train of thought. Reminder for cops. This is just kind of a sweeping statement I want all cops to be mindful of. Just because you, if you cannot prove that somebody did something, don't charge them with it. What I mean by that is you think, oh, I think they did this. I'm just going to charge it with it and then send them to court and can sort it out later. Please don't do that. Our DOJ system, while very much moving forward, and as Staff Sergeant David and Jay Bird said, we are making tons of strides to bolster it, make it better, make it stronger, make it more fun, make it more immersive, make it more encouraging, inviting to people. Please do not, as cops, just charge criminals with things because you think they did it and you're going to let them figure it out in court, because we don't have the facilities right now with DOJ to sort out every single one of those instances. If the criminal is like, nope, I'm being mischarged, and the cop's like, nope, I've got you dead to rights, cool, great, let it sort out in court. But don't just go, well, I have one little scrap of evidence that sort of kind of ties you to this crime. I'm going to go ahead and charge you with this big time fine and time. And then if you want to fight it, you can take it to court and then basically say, get fucked, because while we are trying to bolster our DOJ, it is still kind of, I would say, not in its infancy, but we're kind of rebuilding it per se. So please be mindful of that as cops, of not just swarming the criminals with charges unless you are sure they did it. If you're sure they did it, charge them appropriately. Please be mindful of not completely just burying them in times and fines as well. But like Jay said, if you do big serious crimes and you do a lot of them, or you do a really serious enough one, you're gonna get hit as a criminal appropriately. So just because you do a bunch of shit and you get hit with stuff and like, oh, you're stacking charges or that's unfair. Well, no, what'd you do? Well, I shot down 16 cops and blew up MRPD and did all this stuff. It's like, okay, well, guess what? Those are all very big crimes and those are going to come with very big times and fines associated. We're going to try to not completely ruin your character with the charges, but in-character actions have in-character consequences, as it all comes back to. So, all right. That being said, we've gone through our talking points. We've had Jay and Staff Sergeant talk about DOJ stuff. What we're going to do now is we're going to go through the form that we've got for the community questions, and then once we've gone through those, we will address any of the unanswered questions in the community meeting question channel. So if you guys have any questions you want to put on the form, do it now. If you have any questions you want to put in the community chat or channel, do it now. And we will get these answered up real quick.
I can at least start on the community meeting question section. Like most of them have been answered while we were going through the meeting. I think there was only one or two. Okay. Is there a chance where stress from shooting guns can be lowered? That way gunfights can last longer.
I'm sorry, read that again.
Is there a chance that we could basically adjust stress from shooting guns so to make it lower so gunfights can last longer?
I was probably in the longest shootout on the server the other day. It feels fine.
Yeah, I've been in several long ones as well. I mean, that's one of those things we're constantly monitoring as a staff team, like just stress in general, because it is so polarizing. Like it can literally be little or nothing, or like all of it. So we're constantly monitoring it. But I think as of right now, it's in a pretty good spot. But if we need to, we can obviously keep looking into it. But I think as a whole right now, it's in a pretty good spot.
All right. Will there be any chance in the near future some sort of gun assembling mechanic?
Gun assembly, like manufacturing guns? Is that what they're talking about?
I don't know.
Okay. Who was the question from?
Dub.
Dub, can you clarify real quick in the questions channel? Are you talking about like making guns? Assembling? Like that's what I mean. Are you talking about like harvesting material and making them? Yeah, okay. As of right now, that's not happening. There is not currently going to be a gun crafting mechanic where you can go around harvesting materials or manufacturing materials and making guns. I will state there are some ideas in the works about other things related to weapons and as crafting, but as far as guns are concerned, that is not planned right now in that sort of capacity. So I would just say be patient, stay tuned with us for some other cool stuff similar, but not that.
Still on the topic of guns. Are there any plans to bring any type of a shotgun, most likely pump action or break action double barrel, to ammunition stores and owned legally?
I would state that's a good RP thing. Like people trying to pursue that in game and petition the DOJ to try and legalize shotguns. The reason, so to give you clarification, the out of character reason they are illegal is because they are extremely powerful. Shotguns in GTA are just fucking cannons. And so we had to make we being T's, spent a lot of time adjusting the gun meta so that they would be more fair for our RP environment. Because if you've ever played GTA Online with a shotgun, they are fucking cannons, man. They are good one-shot guns from a good distance. They are just insane. So she made a lot of changes to make them better for an RP environment, but they are still very powerful guns. That said, if that's something that people want to try and get legalized in game, I would highly suggest trying to pursue that in character. We have DOJ representatives for that stuff. We have characters that have pitched things in character for legal changes, and we try to kind of handle legislative changes like that on an in-character basis so that, like, obviously you're not going to come in and say, we should legalize cocaine, and then we legalize all cocaine in the server because 3 people say so. Like, no. But if in character, you can articulate yourself well, and you can partner with the DOJ to try and petition the government to legalize shotguns. I would love to see that RP play out and see what happens. Yeah.
Next one. This was answered already, but I would like to answer it in more detail. is there any chance custom businesses will be open or an existing business can be repurposed to be player owned? So for this, the answer is no, not unless there is like a really big like this is where you would have to use one of those admin template tickets, and there's a lot of reasons for it. One of them being we have a bunch of player-run businesses on the server that barely open for numerous reasons. I'm not calling anybody out, I promise. But we have a ton of restaurants, mechanic shops, and a whole bunch of other things. And sometimes it can be hard to, like, people need things and they're not open. Another thing is dev time on these player-run businesses is probably one of the largest time sinks, or even getting vehicle handling is faster than doing player-run businesses. Mew, Will, Rigsy, a bunch of us, even myself, have helped with this and Neon when it came to getting things done. Like I think Mew was saying it took her 3 weeks to get Park Jung custom built from scratch. So when we do build these, usually players have an idea, they present it to us, we work on it. It takes about a month to work on. And it's kind of deflating when we don't see it open, and then it kind of stagnates and we have to put it back up on the market or just remove it and scrap it entirely. So right now, with the way the economy is and the player pop is right now, we are not considering anything new unless you really want to bring up a case to staff and can really speak towards why activity and all this other stuff, and we can make amends. Like the go-kart track was one of them where there was a ticket opened and we're like, okay, cool. So if you can state your case, we can consider it, but it's going to be at the last level of priority compared to all of these other balances, bugs, and everything else. And again, it needs to be something that could be sustained and not just well, I want it right now, and will it actually be open consistently?
Real quick to tie into that, because somebody mentioned something in the community meeting chat. If you have an idea for a business and you've requested it and we've said no, typically, that doesn't mean it's no forever, depending on the idea. It means no at the time, or if you're requesting a custom interior, it's a no. However, I will state, and I'm not going to give any details on this, we are working as a dev team on something. I'm not saying what it is. We're working on something that will allow for the opportunity for player-run businesses a little bit easier to actually have an interior. Basically, we're working on a compromise, essentially is the best way to put it. It's going to take time, and as we just said, we're waiting to push a lot of this stuff until after the first of the year because we have other projects as well as taking a break. But we have some idea that we're working on to help facilitate that better. But the other thing is, you do not need an interior to run a business. You can absolutely set up a business without an interior and run it out of a car, run it out of a location, run it out of an MLO that already exists and is just open for anybody. And you can absolutely do that. So like, for example, I know somebody was talking about an electronic business. There's tons of electronics already on the server. You can start accumulating those electronics through RP and then turning around and flipping them and selling them. In fact, there's already a market for that in the game right now. That
people do that.
People do it right now. People are already doing that. So if you want to do that sort of RP, it's already in motion. You just got to get involved and meet the right people, ask the right questions. So it is out there. So if there are items in game that you want to like RP around as a business, make it happen. You do not need staff approval to just start up a business. Like, you don't have to have a business license. You don't have to have an interior. You don't have to do any of that. You just gotta make it happen. If you have custom things, like I said, there could be times where we have to say no, like T said. But if we also said if it's a no, we will try to do our best to work with you to facilitate. Go ahead, T. Do you have any more?
That was all from the chat.
Okay, I got the form pulled up right here.
Cool.
Okay. So we've got 4 questions that were brought to us in the community meeting forum. So if you guys...
Hold on. I missed one, apparently.
Okay, go for it.
Cops
and civilians. I missed one? I mean, I think I wasn't really looking. So
I had a question when it was brought up with cops and criminals. What about their interactions with civilians? It's not something I hear talked about often. Oh, okay. How do cops interact with civs, I guess?
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, you didn't finish the question. That's why I thought I answered it. I'm sorry.
Okay, so is the question more like how are they interacting with civilians, or is it more can we just like what's the exact question? Is it just how are they doing it? Banned in some countries. Wait, what? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Sorry. I was very confused. Like, his band? What? Huh? Yeah, no. I connected the dots. Yeah, I saw that. I clicked on the wrong channel.
I'm proud of you, Neon.
Shut up. Cops talking to civs is banned. That was why I was confused. On a scale from no, Toro, no, we're not bringing the Zoomer Boomer scale out. No.
Oh, there you go. Along
Okay.
the lines of how many cops actually interact with civilians and such, or just only focus on criminals, that kind of thing.
Oh, I mean, I can tell you flat out, we interact with civs like hourly. Like whether that's cops going to get something to eat at Park Jung or Burger Shot, and they're interacting with the staff there, or they're going up to Hudson's to, ask how stuff was going up there, or they're going to actually get their car fixed, whatever. We try to encourage community policing. I will state, as we had this topic did come up during the LEO meeting. Sometimes that's difficult. Sometimes you don't have the ability to go get your car fixed at, Hayes Auto or to go get something to eat at Lombardi. Sometimes you are very much in a rush. It's a cop thing. Like it's IRL cops don't have a lot of time to even take a break. So, there's obviously an element of that in character as well. We've been trying to encourage our officers to go to like player-run mechanic shops more than they currently do. And a lot of our cops, as Jesse literally just pointed out, a lot of our cops also have like off-duty RP they do, where that's all they do is they're off-duty and they are civilians and they go out and interact with the population and they go out to events and they go do things. It does happen. Obviously, not all of our cops do that, and obviously it's not all the time. Well, in 60, when you do, you get stabbed. So, I mean, that's not your fault. Like, you're trying. You're doing your best. Yes, basically, essentially, yeah, we try to encourage that and have that be facilitated and have that happen. And obviously, for the most part, that is the case. But at the end of the day, there is an element of understanding that cops are busy and they don't have a lot of free time. And so sometimes things get rushed, per se. That's okay, Time Bomb. If you want to go ahead and type it up, we've got some form questions we're going to go through. So if you want to put it in community meeting questions right underneath T's message, we can get to it as soon as I read through these. That's fine. Okay. So that's been, I think, all the ones answered from there. But we're going to go ahead and move on to our Google form questions. So the first one we have, the person has said they do want their name read. This is from Kinky Bagel. They are asking, is there a plan to release a more detailed starting guide and or list of all the commands? If one already exists, is there a plan to make one more visible or easy to get to go? Okay. I hate to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. Have you tried /help? Because /help in game is about as we couldn't think of a way to make it easier. And it literally is the most comprehensive, well-built out help guide I've ever seen. T's worked on this a lot. She spent a lot of time customizing it. It is literally, it's like pulling up a digital tablet in-game of everything you need to know. Commands, key bindings, LEO commands, crim commands, screenshots, and GIFs of how different things work. An entire GIF section on how the Alt-I works. I mean, literally, it is a super comprehensive, detailed help guide. I mean, I don't know how we could make it more comprehensive. So if we're missing something in that arena, if we failed in some area, please let us know. But I don't know how else to like make it easier or more visible or more comprehensive.
And I took some of the most common things that I saw people were struggling with, like you can combine items. I had no idea. Oh shit, let's make a page. Or the slash commands, the key binds, just basically anything I saw where, like when we were in 1.0, new players were asking consistently in help chat. I took that and was like, oh, we should probably add this to the /help. This way they can get some assistance. And from what I've seen, we've had a lot less of those questions and conversations in our Discord help chat. So hopefully it's working. Yeah. Some things are going to be outdated, especially as we're updating /commands, especially around PD stuff and such. So it'll always be updated. You can always poke in a ticket if something's outdated, because I might not remember everything. But yeah, we're trying.
Well, and what's really cool, so obviously you guys won't have the ability to do this, but as staff, we can actually edit the help guide on the fly when we're in server, and it will save for everybody. So if we notice something like right away, and like let's just say we see it, we can literally make the change right then and there, and it can be fixed. So it's definitely something that if you're not familiar with that, /help is the command when you're in server. It has everything you need to know, and it literally should have everything. So if you have any questions with that, please let us know. The next question, the player did want their name read. This is from Toro, one of our community support team members. Server restarts. Is it possible to push the restart back a few hours? For me, it currently happens at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Eastern. There is still a bunch of people on the server at the time, all in the midst of active RP, and it seems that the vast majority of folks take the server restart as bedtime and don't log back on, myself included. But that's kind of crappy for the West Coaster since it's only 11 p.m. and the server is empty after restart. Maybe a 4 a.m., 4 p.m. EST thing would be better. Having the server restarts reset at these times makes it nice and shiny for the night's RP that's about to take place. I don't think there's many on at 4 a.m., but honestly, they should be in bed anyways. Kidding. Okay, so to better clarify this, we have moved our server restart times, I think, 3 times since we launched. So when it comes to the restarts, the reason they are where they are is because we try to keep a certain hour gap between each restart, and I think currently we have 3. 2 or 3, I can't
2.
remember. We
We
have
have
2.
2.
And so we keep them where they're at, or the gap between them, I should say, so that there's basically a nice, good cash flush before prime time. So the thing is, if we move the restart to, say, like 4 a.m., which is 4 hours up, we have to move the other restart 4 hours up as well, which then puts it almost smack dab into the start of prime time for any EU players, as well as anyone coming off of work on, like, the East Coast. So we can move those times. It is possible. And if we need to, we can put out like a poll and try to figure out our rough playtime like spike or whatever. But right now they're where they're at because we're trying to flush the cache for the server right before prime time and then flush it after everybody gets off. So yeah, if we need to, I would say basically if we have a large capacity of players who are seeing this issue, we can move them around. But the thing is, you have to remember, if we move one, we have to move the other. They kind of work together. No, you're absolutely right, Toro. Once the server restarts, pretty much everybody calls it a night. You're absolutely right. So if we need to adjust things to allow playtime to be a little longer, we can. But we need to understand that there's a ripple effect. The other side of that moves too. We can't move one without the other, because if we do, then there's a longer gap of time, which then can result in more scuff. Which, to be fair, once we swap out the lore-friendly fleet for the current fleet, that will help tremendously, because those vehicles aren't being rendered all the time. They're not being cached all the time. So that can have an effect, as well as if we start clearing out old resources and old MLOs and things like that aren't being used or whatnot. The more items that we're not having to cache on the server, the more we can move those restart times around. There's longer times we can go. Okay, so that's that one. Next one. This player did want their name read. This is Mr. Hudson. He's asking about LEO applications. Are there plans to reopen LEO applications in the near future? I've noticed it's been 5 months since they were last open, and I know that there are people interested in making cop characters. So this is more of an LEO command question, and I know that me and Sixty and Smooth have discussed it lately. I know it's been mentioned in staff discussions and whatnot. Basically, LEO applications are closed right now, primarily because we have a massive amount of cops on the server during like normal times. Basically, whenever we open LEO applications up, it sucks a large number of players away from the civilian and criminal side. And when that happens, the crime then drops during those hours, basically. So basically, you have we have a lot of crime happening and we have lots of action for the cops. Let's go ahead and open applications. We open applications. All those players who are now making the crime for us to interact with then all move over to LEO because they want to become a cop, and all that crime then stops. Obviously, this is a very wide generalization. As 60 also said, the other aspect is FTOs. If we hire a bunch of, as Kiwi said, if we hire a bunch of cadets or cops for the dead hours, if those dead hours don't have FTOs, those officers will never progress. They will never get through their FTO hours. So it is a very big balancing act of making sure that all that stuff sort of gets situated. But that's great. Some people can do it for sure, but others can't. And so it's tricky to do that. We are discussing a few options as far as LEO applications and things we can do to try and allow those doors to open. And LEO is kind of a revolving door. There's always things changing with it, whether it's mechanics or players are taking breaks or players are coming in or things like that. Transfers are obviously a topic of discussion. So as of right now, there's no finite plan for opening the apps. There's discussions being had constantly about such things. But as of right now, just no, there's no plan for them to open anytime soon. So I would say just stand by, be patient, and pay attention to announcements. We will announce when they're open, and they'll probably open for a finite amount of time, and then we'll close them again. And last question is also wants their name being read. This is from Tyrope. Clip compilation says, "Oh, hi, it's me again. I know the meeting before last, I proposed to do the clip compilation thing, and I made one. Staff can confirm that was kind of subpar. Open question to the community. Who wants to take over? I'll happily help you get set up. Kindly DM me. Or if staff would like a more oversight, open ticket and ask to get my ass dragged in. Yes, if anyone here likes to, I know that Tyrope tried to help, and he's been very busy and kind of burnt out and stuff, and it's totally understandable. And these clip compilations aren't necessarily the most easy thing to do. I used to do them, but I am just so stretched thin these days. I just don't have the time. But Tyrope did a very good job of setting it up. There was just some confusion around the available videos he could use. So if anyone likes video editing and would like to take this on as a side project to help the community out, we would really like to see some consistent clip compilations come out, especially now that we have so many streamers. We've seen like anywhere from 7 to 9 streamers at a time on most nights. That's amazing. The amount of clips that can come from that content is incredible. So we'd love to see some clip compilations come from that. So if anybody is interested in helping with that, go ahead. And we also have a TikTok account that could use some love as well. Staff basically was running all of that, but staff is so busy. So if anyone here is interested in doing that, in doing video editing for clip compilations and helping with the TikTok account and things like that, please open a ticket with staff. Tell us that you want to help with the TikTok or with the YouTube with the clip compilation. We will coordinate with you. I love that dance video, by the way. That dance video is S tier. If anybody is interested in doing that, open those tickets, talk to us. We will work with you. We do have very strict stipulations on things, and as far as like these videos are a representation of our community, therefore there are rules you will have to follow. But we are happy for that help, and we will work with you for that help. Cool. So that's all the forum questions that we've got. I know that did Time Bomb get his question typed up? No,
we have another. We have a few more. Are property taxes on houses going to be a thing? Yes or no? Yes, they are.
Yep, they are. It's just gotta happen. Oh, right on cue. Okay, cool. We'll work on the list then.
More of a suggestion than a question. Can we get /help mentioned in the loading screen to make it more visible? That's fantastic.
That's a great idea.
Can someone from staff write that down? Because that's so good.
I'm gonna put it in Doe chat real quick.
Okay. I have a question too now that we are having more player deaths happen. Can we set a standard for people to log off the character once my roleplay with the body is done? You should be able to local out of character that to let them know. Whenever I had to do that on EMS, just give them a ping of just like, okay, you're good to log now.
Yep. That's how I've always done it too, whether as a cop or even as a crim. I'll just ask. And it's okay if you're like laying there and you're the quote dead body and you're like twiddling your thumbs going, I've been here for a minute, no one's interacted with me. Just do a quick LOC and ask, hey, am I good to log? And someone go, well, actually, real quick, I need to get something, and they'll run over and they'll prioritize it. That is literally why we gave you guys local OOC, is to have those quick little conversations without having to like run to a DM or awkwardly ask it in character. It's okay to use that command.
So, all right, time bombs. This is a loaded question. Neon, you and I talk about this all the fucking time. All right. Like, I know what you're trying to do with the gang rules, and I agree. When old members were gone for months or to even a year and would come back and take some position in the gang, but the gang may be completely new, different than what the old gang member didn't know, that would make the roleplay weird and unfair. I just feel we are going about it the wrong way. The inactivity rule makes it so that roleplay is weird. If you took a break and you want to come back, makes it feel like a job and pressure to stay active. I'll use Aztecas as an example. I feel like it would make more sense if after a break from the server, you were no longer part of the group still in Azteca with the colors. If they want you to be a part of their specific Azteca group again, that's up to them. You may need to work yourself back into the new or existing group, but gangs in IRL have different cliques: North Azteca, West Azteca, Azteca 13, Vagos, Eastside Vagos, blah. Different groups under the same gang. Sometimes groups with the same gang would distrust or fight with each other, and this can result in pretty cool RP. So, few things. Communicate. That's all this is. We've set this up with the gang leaders and in the gang discords. If you take a break, you need to communicate it with your gang groups, because the other counter to that is someone goes inactive for 4 months with zero communication at all of just, hey, I need a break. IRL's happening, any of that. And so they're now taking up a slot of a very finite resource, which is number of active players in a gang. That's all that's required. Just communicate. Those who have communicated with those gangs before, just, hey, I just need to take a step back for a couple of weeks. I have other stuff going on. I'm burnt out. Usually those players are allowed to stay and be part of the active set still, and moving to that quote OG status where you're inactive is only for those who have disappeared without any communication whatsoever. So things have to move on for the health of the server. What we were encountering early on in the server when we had 5-player limits to gangs was there was a lot of inactivity across all the groups. Vagos, MBG, I think Lost was the exception because they were really good at communicating with each other, families, and Ballas, that they were going inactive, not communicating with anybody, and now you had 3 out of 5 slots taken with 1 active member. That didn't feel great. When it comes to the subsets, which is what you're basically saying, Orchardville Vagos, Southside Vagos, things like that. I think Neon and I constantly discuss this, and the server is right now not in a place where we have enough people and enough players to make this a thing. In the future, it could be. But right now, we even still struggle to... We would rather more groups than less groups, realistically, but we would like to see more branched out groups. And when it comes to the lore gangs, it's just... I don't think we're in a place for that at the moment. Unless you want to correct me, Neon.
Well, not going to correct. I would say kind of tack on here is basically I completely see where Time Bomb's coming from, and I do agree that basically there are multiple sets of the same gang. Like Vagos is not an over-encompassing Vagos that covers all aspects. There's East Side, there's Source Side, there's West Side, there's all these different groups of Vagos, and so it makes sense that if your character is a quote-unquote Vago by blood or whatever, that they may not be part of the current set, but they are still a Vago. The biggest thing there is if you are gonna let's say you have a character, named Jose, and Jose ran with the Vagos for a while, disappeared for several months, and then comes back, and the set's obviously moved on and has reached their player cap. Jose can't just come back in and just immediately go, "Hey guys, I'm back. I'm still part of this Vagos, and I'm a gang member and all sorts of stuff." He can still be a quote-unquote Vago, but he is not representing that set. He is no longer a part of that group, and he needs to communicate in character with that group. He needs to try and be like, "Hey, I know I'm sorry, I'm gone. I was gone for a bit. I want to come back. What can I do to come back?" Well, we're already, if it's out of character, we're already at our limit, like we have too many people or whatever. Then we can figure out an option as far as that character moving forward regarding whether he needs to, start a set or run solo or something. But players need to communicate out of character for breaks and stuff like that, as well as in character. If RP action, aka they disappear, that is still an RP action. The RP consequence is that they are no longer part of that group because the group has moved on. If they want to return to that group, they need to RP it out. They can't just come back and boop, I'm back. I'm now back with the group because I never quote unquote left the Discord or because I never quote unquote left the set. You need to respect the fact that there has been a large gap of time where you weren't around or you weren't communicative, and so the consequence is you need to work your way back into that group in some form or fashion. And depending on how you left, there may be consequences beyond that, but that's entirely up to RP. I do want to bring up something, and Tease, I'm going to bring up that rule that you and I were speaking about recently because this is a good time to bring it up if you're okay with that. Remember
yeah.
Yeah, okay. So pay attention, everybody, because this is important. This ties directly into Time Bomb's thing. So as you guys are aware, we have rules around gang limits. We have rules around alliances. We have rules around gangs specifically. As of right now, if you are not aware, we did raise our gang group limit from 5 to 6, which also increases our active group limit or active encounter limit. So basically, you can have up to 6 players in an active gang, and you can have up to 6 people in an active scenario. However, up to this point, alliances were not allowed amongst gangs. You could not align with, Vagos and MBG couldn't align with each other to fight the Lost or to fight CGF. They were 2 different gangs. They can kind of have a non-aggression pact of I won't fuck with you if you don't fuck with me, and we kind of agree we have a common enemy, but we're not working together. The reason for that is we were trying very hard to not create a super gang sort of environment where all these little gangs work together to create a mega gang, and they are always aligned, and they just squash all the little gangs. What we didn't anticipate when we wrote that rule is that the flip side of that is that little gangs can get squashed by 5 or 6 person gangs and have no recourse but to sit there and basically hide or take it or always take a loss with no chance of ever having to come out on top. So after a lot of discussion, Rigsy and Tease and I, as well as looping in the rest of the staff, decided we wanted to rewrite the alliance rule. So as of now, the alliance rule on our server is stipulated as such. It states gangs and groups may form temporary alliances with other groups as needed to defend, attack, or otherwise conflict with another gang or group. This is only allowed for temporary time periods or conflicts and not on a permanent basis. Note, any additional members who ally or join the conflict still count towards the active group limit, which is 6 people. If at any point you have a question on an alliance, open a ticket with staff first. If you are not sure, don't come to us and ask for forgiveness later. Ask for permission on the front end so we can clarify it with you so there's no communication issues or confusion. Otherwise, you're going to have problems. So to give an example, Group A has 3 members. Group B has 6 members. The 2 are pulled into a B for a conflict with each other and engage in a 3-week or so long conflict. During said conflict, Group A approaches Group C to request an alliance against Group B. Group C has 3 members as well. Group A and C now have a combined force of 6, the rule limit, and Group B has 6 as well. After the beef ends with the defeat of Group B, alliance of A and C is dissolved, and the groups go their separate ways and go back to doing their own things on their own, if that makes sense. That is how the rule is now articulated. This will allow for smaller groups that are getting trounced by a larger group to temporarily work with another group to vend themselves, to survive an attack or to survive a conflict, so that it's an even fight amongst groups. Because what we've noticed is that gangs are kind of struggling to recruit members because we don't have a massive population. And we don't have a lot of players that are actively pursuing gang characters. We just don't. Like, Vagos is at 3 and I don't ever see that changing in the near future. Just because not many people are making Vago characters. People talk about it, but it just never happens. So because of that, Vagos are at 3 members. Whereas if we get into a conflict with, let's say, the Lost, and the Lost have 5 or 6 members, we will never be able to have an evenly matched fight no matter what, because we're 3 versus 6. We can't get allied with anybody. What are we going to do? So this rule helps bridge that gap and allows smaller gangs to have a fighting chance against larger gangs. However, it is still upheld to the 6-person standard. So a 6-person gang cannot align with another gang to fight a smaller gang. You have 6, you're good, you can fight your war by yourself. If you are small and you need assistance, this is how you use it. And this allows for a balance to still be maintained amongst groups that are fighting without completely just steamrolling another group, which is a lot of us have seen in other servers, which can really discourage players from wanting to continue gang RP when they're like, I'm just going to get steamrolled. What's the fucking point? So that's, if you're not familiar, the rules have been updated. You guys are free to review it by yourselves. If you guys are not familiar with what our rules are, please make sure you read them. It is up in the important README section of the Discord. That rule is already there and is articulated as such. If you have questions, open a ticket, please, and ask the question on the front end before you guys put yourself into a situation where we're going to... Because the thing is, if we see abuse of this, and you're like, well, I didn't know, it's in the rules, we're talking about it now. It's like, well, I just figured this was okay, and it made sense. It's like, okay, well, did you ask permission for this unique case? No. Okay, now we're going to have to talk to you about this. We're going to have to do something because this is a rule break. These are... The rules for our server are not suggestions. These are rules. If you have a question, ask it, but ask it in the right format, please. Okay, so there you go. We've talked about the new rule. We have gone over...
That's about it. Yeah.
What? Yeah, that's about it.
Sorry,
So
look at the questions.
yeah, we've gone over the new rule. We have so only 6 active members with only 2 playing. Can they still ally or no? They have the slots filled. Technically, it is an active group limit. So if you have 2 members online for your gang and you need a temporary alliance with another group, you need to be mindful that if your other players come online, like let's say it's just a few hours away or they're only a day off the server, if you're making an alliance with another group, those other players cannot join. You would basically be removing your own gang from the conflict. So just because they're not active for like a couple of hours or a day, you're still upheld by that 6-player limit. So, I mean, if we're talking like, oh, I have a person who's gone for 3 months or gone for 3 weeks or gone for a month or whatever, and I'm short a couple of members because of these people are gone, then yeah, obviously you have very inactive members that are not just like a day off the server or whatever and you need help. Yeah, obviously you can go try to align with another group. But if we're talking that are like, you have 6 members and it's just somebody's day off and you get into a beef, no, I wouldn't recommend going and trying to align with another group, because the second that other person comes online, your alliance is now breaking a rule. So I would say go with your gut when it comes to this stuff, and just instead of trying to min-max how many players are in a conflict, focus on the RP and the conflict first and foremost. This is more as an assistance in those situations where there are polar opposite extremes. This is not a opportunity for min-maxing. Okay, but yeah, so we've gone over the new rule. We've gone over the questions from the forum and from the questions channel. We've gone over the DOJ discussion that Staff Sergeant David and Jaybird want to talk about. Riggsy had his dev list. We've gone over our list. I will give last call, basically. If there's any very big pressing questions, do them now, because we're going to probably wrap up here, as we've been going for just shy of 2.5 hours, which we're still good. We usually try 3 hours is like our absolute end of like the barrel. Like, we don't try to go longer than that. So if you guys have any last minute questions, I'd ask them now. Mulabi, I did see you join voice chat. Did you have something you wanted to go over?
No, just my internet finally came up.
Oh,
So
gotcha. No worries. Hello. So yeah, any last minute questions, please feel to throw them in. But otherwise, we're going to probably wrap up here. Like I said earlier, if you guys missed it, if you guys are interested in helping with the video portion of the community, and there's like multiple of you guys that want to like collaboratively work together, one of you guys open a ticket, tell us who needs to be added. We'll add everybody to the ticket. We can have a conversation with staff and get you guys set up to what you guys need. But I'd say at this point, if you guys have any questions, open a ticket, ask and help chat. We're going to bring the server back up online here shortly. We need to double check some code as we're have a small patch thing. Oh, threads, perfect. Thank you, Tyrup. That's perfect. Thank you. But yeah, the server will be back up shortly, and you guys can get back on the server and enjoy your weekend. But thank you guys very much for coming out and sitting here and listening and talking with us for a bit. Hopefully we've answered some of your questions, giving you guys some insight into some stuff we're working on, as well as where staff is at. And thank you guys very much for being the awesome community that you guys are. We will see you guys later. You can go ahead and hit the big button here. Bye, guys.